Chapter 797. When someone suddenly rushed in and saw through Qin Sheng's true appearance, he was immediately enraged. He threw the cultivator in his hand to the side, and with a paw sound, she fell heavily to the ground. However, just as she was about to fall to the ground, a wave of energy enveloped the cultivator, lifted her up, and then slowly lowered her. She did not suffer a strong impact. If she had been hit, she would have died without a doubt. But now that she had not fallen to her death, she was almost there. Most of her body had been eaten, and she was bleeding nonstop. She looked like she was on the verge of death. Her eyes were gray and shrouded in a layer of despair. When she saw Yi Tianyan rushing in to save her, there was an additional hint of hope in her despairing gaze. A mere human actually dares to barge in. Who gave you the guts? Qin Sheng was furious. He did not expect his true appearance to be seen. How could he not be angry? Following that, the guards outside quickly ran in and intercepted Yi Tianyan. They surrounded him tightly, not wanting him to leave this place. Aren't the two of you humans? I didn't expect this so-called floor master to be an evil spirit race. Do you know what kind of race the evil spirit race is? Other than their own race, they will devour everyone else. If you are not careful, one day you will be eaten. Yi Tianyan looked at the two guards with an ice-cold gaze. These two guards were not from the evil spirit race, but from the human race. As the guards here, they could obtain rewards. There were many ways to obtain the flame imprint here, and being a guard here was one of them. The two guards did not even look back. Instead, they glared at him and said, "Do we need you to teach us what to do?" With that, the two guards picked up their weapons and attacked Yi Tianyan fiercely. As the guards here, they had the authority to expel intruders. A group of people who have been bewitched, how pitiful. Yi Tianyan turned his fist into a palm and gently waved it in front of him. A sharp light flashed and pierced through their necks, causing them to freeze on the spot. Poochie. Then their heads fell from their necks, and their corpses fell to the ground with a thud. Blood flowed endlessly, dyeing the ground red. The flame marks on their hands quickly drilled over and deepened the flame mark on Yi Tianyan's arm. Yi Tianyan was not punished. The guards here could attack intruders, but it was equivalent to entering the arena mode. If the other party was killed, Yi Tianyan would not be punished. Interesting. I don't know how you found out about our true identities, but you're dead meat today. The story master Qin Sheng walked down the stairs step by step, and a huge axe immediately appeared in his hand. With a whoosh sound, the terrifying fire of the netherworld rose up and rushed to the top of the palace. The 4 flame imprints on his arm proved that he was not as simple as a rank 3, but a rank 4. In addition to the power of a story master, his power erupted crazily. It's just that no matter how much strength he used, he could only reach the 6th level of Void Spirit stage. To him, it's just trash. In the first floors, it was normal to have a cultivation at this level, but from the 4th floor and above, there were many experts. He wanted to rush up and kill those powerful evil spirit race in one go, but with the rules here, he could only climb up step by step. Boom. In the next moment, the story master Qin Sheng flew up, raised the huge axe, and released the power of the flame imprints on his arm, doubling his strength again. Because of his identity as a story master, he could use the power of the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda to strengthen himself. If the ancient Ming Divine King was here, he would have vomited blood. Originally, this was used to deal with the evil spirit race, but now it was used by the evil spirit race. It was really sad. Die, trash human. You'll be our food for the rest of your lives. Qin Sheng slashed down. The extremely cold fire of the netherworld turned into a demon and swallowed him up. Boom. Yi Tianyan did not even dodge. He just looked at the attack, and in an instant he was enveloped by the flame and swallowed. Then the holy weapon came down. Even if he was frozen into an ice sculpture, he still wanted to break it. Bang! A terrifying power swept out from the fire of the netherworld. The fire of the netherworld that originally covered this area was instantly dispersed, and then a terrifying scene appeared. Yi Tianyan held the blade of the huge axe with one hand. The sharp blade had no effect on him at all, and his right hand that was holding the huge axe was not injured at all. This power you. Qin Sheng was shocked. He did not expect that the attack he had used all his strength to have no effect on Itianyan at all. He was even holding the axe in his hand and could not cut it at all. He had used all his strength, but he could not do anything at all. Level Master Qin, something bad has happened. A human is rushing up from below, and he can easily crush our patrolling envoy. Through the estimation, he may reach the void spirit stage or above. If he continues to cultivate, his cultivation will be stronger, and the taste will. An evil spirit race guard walked out of the palace and reported the news he had received as he walked. When he walked out, he was shocked to see the strange situation in front of him. That's him. The guard was holding an image in his hand. From the image that was transmitted from below, he could clearly see that it was Yi Tianyan's appearance. But it was all too late. Yi Tianyan had already fought with Qin Sheng. Unless a winner was decided, the competition would not end. You said that we will be your food for the rest of our lives? Yi Tianyan sneered and said, "Trash like you are worthy of that? No matter how weak we are not willing to become your food even if we perish together with you." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly grabbed the huge axe and spun in the air. Holding the axe handle tightly, he aimed the axe at Qin Sheng and chopped down. The sharp cold light was like the twinkling stars in the sky, cutting through the night sky. "Open for me." Two arms immediately grew out of Qin Sheng's back. Four arms followed and tried to grab the axe, trying to block the axe. But his speed was too slow, and his strength was even more fragile. The heavy axe chopped from head to toe, cutting Qin Sheng in half. It was not difficult at all, as if it was cutting a piece of tofu. The four arms that blocked the huge axe were cut to the side. The cut was smooth, and it was very terrifying. Ding successfully killed Story Master Qin Sheng, obtained experience. What he obtained was not important. What was important was that the flame mark flew out and entered his arm. On the original 3 flame marks, there was one more, successfully becoming 4 flame marks. The key was that there was a special dark blue circle on this flame mark, which meant that he was the 3rd Story Master. Chapter 798. Yi Tianyan was not happy at all after killing Qin Sheng. This was because this was just the beginning. Becoming a floor master was only the first step to being able to compete with the evil spirit race. After becoming a floor master, he would expand the scope of the force challenge and obtain more power and power. The most important thing was that only a floor master could challenge a higher floor master. To be precise, a challenge between a floor master and a floor master could not be rejected, and had to be accepted. This was the main reason why he chose to become a floor master. It was to be able to forcefully challenge. If it was someone else challenging, the floor master could easily reject it, but if it was a floor master challenging, he could not reject it. Simply put, for example, a floor master could reject a challenge at will. Although there was a limit to the number of times, he could skip the loopholes in the rules. For example, he could immediately find a weak person to challenge him. After agreeing to the challenge, he would immediately have a week to rest. At that time, if the cycle continued, the cultivators who wanted to challenge the floor master could only retreat helplessly. However, challenging a floor master was different. He had to accept the challenge. If the battle had just ended, it would definitely be the challenger's turn in a week. Yi Tianyan had not investigated carefully, but he believed that the position of the floor master was definitely in the hands of the evil spirit race. There were no exceptions. This was the logic behind the guard's reminder just now. He could not let this position fall, or else it would be very easy for trouble to occur. However, it was all too late. Qin Sheng accepted the challenge in anger, and was easily split into 2, replacing him as the floor master. "What did you say?" Yi Tianyan turned to look at the guard, his gaze cold. "Come accept the challenge, trash." In an instant, the entire area was enveloped by a barrier, trapping the guard within. He could either escape or die here. There was no other choice. Surrender was useless. Only by leaving this place could he surrender. The guard's heart turned cold. He turned around and fled, wanting to escape from this battlefield. However, everything was too slow. Yi Tianyan's figure flashed and was already in front of him, swinging the giant axe in his hand. "No!" The guard screamed and subconsciously reached out to block the attack of the giant axe. Even the 2 arms that grew out from his back were blocked. However, this resistance was futile. The violent giant axe cut the guard in half, and blood splattered everywhere. Following that, the flame brand on the guard's body drilled into his arm, and formed a faint mark on the 5th flame brand. This guard only had 3 flame imprints, so he could only obtain a bit of it. Even if he killed it, it would still be the same. This was just like leveling up. Leveling up required 10,000 EXP. When he was at a lower level, he would level up immediately by killing a higher level monster. When he was at a higher level, he would only receive a small portion of the EXP from killing a higher level monster. Only by killing those with more flame brand points could one quickly obtain the flame brand. This is the privilege of a story master. Very good. Yi Tianyun's eyes turned cold. This was similar to punishment. The floor master had the right to judge. If he found someone displeasing to the eye or if someone violated the rules, he could challenge them to a trial. During the trial, the other party also had the right to kill, just like how Yi Tianyun killed those guards. They were guards here, and they also had the right to judge. It was just that the number of times they had the right to judge was different at different levels. Right now he had the right to judge 3 times. This meant that he could judge anyone 3 times. However, it had to be less than the number of flame imprints he had. The most heaven-defying thing was that regardless of whether the other party had just finished fighting or was seriously injured, he had to forcefully accept the challenge. Unless the other party hid in the cultivation room and didn't come out, he would immediately accept the challenge once he came out. After all, this was a trial, not a competition. There was no need to wait for the other party to catch their breath before slowly challenging them. 3 trials a month, and the right to kill at will could be said to be heaven-defying. The cultivator lying there was the best proof. Forcefully judge the other party, then capture and eat him. The ancient Ming Divine Pagoda was very inflexible. As long as the rules were followed, it didn't matter. During the trial, it didn't matter how one ate the other party. There were exactly 3 people below. One of them didn't die, and that was the cultivator that Yi Tianyun had saved previously. Yi Tianyun hurried over, equipped the longevity necklace and ring, and quickly healed the cultivator. However, the cultivator's injuries were too serious. The evil spirit race not only devoured the body, but also the soul. Especially since he had lost a lot of blood, he was basically on the verge of death. The longevity necklace could increase the recovery speed, but it didn't mean that it could bring the dead back to life. It was too difficult for a dying person. Unless he gathered the set, there was really no way to do it. Thank you for killing him. The female cultivator smiled faintly. Even though she was unwilling to die, at least she could see her enemy die before she died. After saying that, she was completely dead. She should have died earlier, but she was hanging on with her last breath. After seeing Yi Tianyun kill Qin Sheng, she heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed, and then he shook his head and stood up. Very quickly, the corpses were enveloped by flames, and they disappeared on the spot. No one knew where they had been teleported to. Continue. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed, and he turned around and walked out. As soon as he walked out, many people immediately rushed up to him. Just now, there was the sound of an intense battle coming from the palace. Many cultivators wanted to go in and see who was so bold to challenge the story master. The power of the story master was too strong. Coupled with the enhancement of the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda, he had to be at least 1 or 2 levels stronger than Qin Sheng to be able to defeat him. Unexpectedly, as soon as they rushed over, they saw someone coming out from inside. Story master. When they saw the mark on Yi Tianyun's arm, they immediately recognized that Yi Tianyun had become a story master. They were extremely shocked. Everything had happened too quickly. Before they could react, he had already become a story master. They didn't even know what was going on. How long had it been? It had only been a few minutes, and everything was over? Yi Tianyun glanced at them coldly, immediately scaring them away. Then, without saying anything, he walked up the stairs. There were no people from the evil spirit race present, so he didn't care about their reactions. Right now, he wanted to challenge a story master of a higher level. Stop! How dare you kill story master Qin Sheng? Do you know what you have done? At this time, A cultivator rushed over from the side. The necklace on Yi Tianyun's chest immediately flashed with red light, which meant that this person was from the evil spirit race. Judgment. Yi Tianyun's eyes turned cold. As soon as he gave the order, a layer of shield immediately enveloped him and the cultivator who rushed over. Before the other party could react, an axe came over and split him into two on the spot. Chapter 799. A person who came over to criticize Yi Tianyun was immediately split into two halves by the trial, scaring the onlookers to take a few steps back. With just a slight criticism, he was split into two. Wasn't this a little too angry? We just came over to take a look. We don't have the slightest bit of enmity towards you. They were so scared that they hurriedly explained, worried that they would be killed by Yi Tianyun. How could Yi Tianyun possibly kill them? If that person wasn't from the evil spirit race, he wouldn't even bother to kill him. It was a pity that after these people died, they were quickly teleported away. Otherwise, they would have revealed their true bodies so that they could see them. Do you know about the evil spirit race? Yi Tianyun asked. Evil spirit race? I'm not too sure. They shook their heads. They knew very little about the evil spirit race, and it could be said that they did not know anything about it. It had been thousands of years since the Great War of the Demons and Beasts. Ordinary powers had long since perished, let alone any inheritances. As for these records that were not considered extremely important, very few people left them behind. Compared to those martial arts, more people were willing to leave behind martial arts, and this history was slowly forgotten. Other than a few big powers, most of them didn't know much about it. Some big powers wouldn't even mention this matter. This was a dark matter from a long time ago, so there was no need to talk about it. Most people felt that it was already in the past, so they didn't mention it. It was normal for the rogue cultivators in front of them to not know about it. There were many rogue cultivators here, or experts from some powers. There were very few people who knew about it, so there was no need to force it. You will know very soon. They are the enemies of our three realms. After Yi Tianyun finished speaking, he turned and walked towards the fourth floor. They looked at Yi Tianyun's departing figure in confusion, feeling that it was a little strange. What evil spirit race? They did not know anything about it. With the passage of time, too much of history was either forgotten or ignored. The key was that the evil spirit race had hidden themselves too well. They all thought that they were the same kind, so they did not have much resistance. Of course, there was no lack of guards from before. Even if they knew that the floor master ate people, they would still ignore him. This meant that they already knew about it and even tacitly approved of it. This kind of person was no different from a traitor. In the future, he would definitely be an obstacle to them. After Yi Tianyun left, people quickly rushed over. They were all evil spirit race experts, and when they saw that it was already over, they were immediately stunned. Hurry up and report this. There's an emergency. The third floor's floor master has fallen. Tell the floor masters above to be more vigilant. They all sent people up to transmit the message. They didn't need to climb the stairs to transmit the message. It took a lot of effort to climb the stairs. The difficulty was not small, and it took a lot of time. The best way was to send a message to the higher-ups so that they could quickly understand the situation. However, there were some things that could not be done. A large number of flame imprints could come down from above, but a small number of flame imprints couldn't go beyond the level of their own flame imprints. Yi Tianyun continued to walk upwards. His speed was neither fast nor slow. The pressure on this level was a bit stronger than the one below, but the difficulty was still not a problem. If his cultivation was a little lower, this could be said to be a top-notch training ground. But his cultivation was too strong now. To him, it was like using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. However, he knew that this was the calm early stage. In the later stages, a fierce battle was unavoidable. To be able to force away the people from the ancient Nether Divine Kingdom, one could imagine how terrifying it was. Very quickly he arrived at the top of the fourth floor. Without exception, the spiritual energy here was even denser. As soon as he arrived, someone welcomed him. New face, which camp are you from? The familiar question was the same as below. Every level had a cultivator's camp. If it wasn't for the protection of the rules, So many of them would have been devoured. This was equivalent to a sheep entering a tiger's mouth. How could the evil spirit race not eat it? No camp. Yi Tianyun threw out a sentence and went straight to the palace where the floor master was. No camp? Another one without a camp. How did these guys get up here? Did they fight their way up here alone? This is really strange. Just now, there was a fiery woman who didn't have a camp. And now there's another one. She even went to challenge the floor master recklessly. Even if she wants to die, there's no need to do this, right? Don't tell me this kid is also going to challenge the floor master. Look, there's a floor master's mark on his arm. He's the third floor master. Oh my god, he actually killed Qin Sheng. Looks like he's going to challenge the floor master Qin Jian. If Qin Jian knew that his brother was killed, wouldn't he be furious? He's so much stronger than his brother. This kid is really bold. They discussed behind him and looked at Yi Tianyun with pitiful eyes. They felt that he was going to die. If it were them, they wouldn't do this. How good would it be to stay in the third floor and enjoy more power as the floor master? A fiery woman? Yi Tianyun frowned. He suddenly thought of a woman who was really fiery. However, he didn't care about it and went straight to the floor master's palace. He didn't want to waste any time. Along the way, he saw that there was a sharp decrease in the number of cultivators here. The main reason was that those who could come up here were all experts with high cultivation. Most of them were above the void spirit stage, and the weakest was above the core transformation stage. Those who could come up here were definitely not low cultivation. Although there were not many of them, there were still a lot of them. He felt that if he accumulated all of them, he would be able to crush any divine kingdom's forces. However, this was just a thought. With so many experts, it would be difficult to rule them all. The evil spirit race had been pretending to be humans for so long, but they still couldn't rule this place. Boom, boom, boom. At this time, the palace in the distance began to erupt with amazing power. The netherworld fire flashed in the sky, but vaguely, a violent flame could be seen suppressing the opponent's netherworld fire. Immortal fire? Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes. The flame that could suppress the netherworld fire was the immortal fire. So far, he only knew one person who could use the immortal fire, and that was Bai Shui Huang. Based on what he heard from those people before, it should be Bai Shui Huang. He thought of Bai Shui Huang as a fiery woman. He did things swiftly and decisively. If she was really here, she would really be scared. Yi Tianyun sped up his pace and walked towards the palace. The palace gate was not blocked, and the others could enter to observe the situation. As soon as he stepped in, he saw Bai Shui Huang and Qin Jian fighting. Both of them were at the peak of the Spirit King stage, and they were fighting crazily. The netherworld flame and the inextinguishable flame continued to collide, one hot and one cold. It was simply a stark contrast. Chapter 800. Yi Tianyun only heard about Bai Shui Huang's fiery temper from the cultivators around him, but he didn't expect her to be here. Bai Shui Huang didn't stay in the Phoenix race's territory, but instead came here from the Phoenix race's territory. But after thinking about it for a while, he knew why she came here. It's very likely that Bai Shui Huang found out about the situation here and knew that the evil spirit race was dominating this place, so she came here to kill the evil spirit race. The Phoenix race and the evil spirit race were enemies, and now that they are in a stable state, they will definitely take the initiative to eliminate the evil spirit race. Yi Tianyun looked up and found that there was indeed another Phoenix race cultivator on the side. It was Shopkeeper Yi. He didn't expect that Shopkeeper Yi would come with him, and he even killed his way to the fourth floor. It's very likely that the other elders are also here. With their powerful cultivation, it's not difficult for them to achieve a good result here. But they didn't come here to look for opportunities. They came here to destroy the evil spirit race. They can't let the evil spirit race continue to grow. Boom! Bai Shui Huang and Qin Jian collided again. The netherworld fire and the immortal fire collided again. It's reasonable to say that the immortal fire should be able to suppress the netherworld fire, but who knew that the netherworld fire would win? Especially when the two of them had the same cultivation. Bai Shui Huang actually lost. What a rich Phoenix bloodline. I didn't expect the Phoenix race to come here in person. Then I won't be polite. Qin Jian laughed loudly, and the power of the 5 flame marks on his arm burst out and superimposed on his body. It was because of the Floor Lord's authority and the power of the ancient Ming divine pagoda that he was able to suppress the immortal fire. If it weren't for this power, Qin Jian wouldn't have the strength to laugh, and he would have already been slapped to the ground. Qin Jian's eyes were filled with the desire to devour. The phoenix bloodline was a great supplement for him, so he didn't mind devouring it. Even if the immortal fire was his nemesis, under the suppression of the Floor Lord's authority, it would still be suppressed. As for Bai Shui Huang, she couldn't use the netherworld fire. The 2 flames couldn't be fused, and there was some conflict between them. Because of this, Bai Shui Huang could only passively take a beating. The 2 of them continued to attack each other, but Bai Shui Huang was constantly suppressed. If this continues, Bai Shui Huang's situation will become very serious, and she may even die. Upon closer inspection, Qin Jian had forced her back, but he had not forced her out of the arena. This meant that she had lost. This was not the result he wanted. Bai Shui Huang would undoubtedly be able to escape from here without being killed by him. With that ugly face of yours, you can cultivate for another 100 years. Of course, Bai Shui Huang wouldn't give up, so she summoned the immortal flame again, and the phoenix's shadow appeared behind her. Bai Shui Huang brandished her claws to resist the netherworld fire. Ugly face? If you're still so stubborn now, I'll slowly enjoy your pained expression later. Qin Jian's eyes revealed a sinister look, but more of it was a look of greed. Bear. The netherworld fire's effect increased again, and the powerful netherworld fire continued to pour into his body, enhancing his strength. This is my territory, and your Phoenix clan won't be able to cause any trouble here. Qin Jian laughed and continued to attack fiercely, constantly waving the giant axe in his hand. The giant axe was the same as his brother's, and it was a good sacred tool. Qin Jian swung the axe again and again, trying to cut Bai Shui Huang in half. Every time, Bai Shui Huang used her amazing speed to dodge the attack, otherwise she would really be hit. As time passed, cold sweat kept appearing on Bai Shui Huang's forehead, but it was quickly evaporated by the heat wave. From this point, it could be seen that if Bai Shui Huang continued to fight, she would definitely lose. Patriarch, retreat. Shopkeeper Yi hurriedly shouted. He didn't want Bai Shui Huang to continue fighting. Bai Shui Huang gritted her teeth. She knew that if she persisted, she might lose here. But she didn't want to admit defeat. She wanted to kill this group of scum. Patriarch, that's enough, leave it to me. At this time, Yi Tianyan stood up, and suddenly many people's eyes focused on him. They wanted to see who was so arrogant. Divine Envoy? When Shopkeeper Yi saw Yi Tianyan, he was shocked. He really didn't expect Yi Tianyan to appear here. Bai Shui Huang glanced at Qin Jian and immediately shouted. The immortal fire in her body rose again, turning into a huge phoenix, and rushed forward. She didn't expect that she would be able to use it again at this time. Boom! Qin Jian was sent flying. He didn't expect that Bai Shui Huang, who looked like an arrow at the end of its flight, could still display such amazing power. Bai Shui Huang didn't want to continue fighting. She turned around and quickly rushed out of the arena. As soon as she rushed out, the shield disappeared, indicating that the battle was over. At the same time, the flame mark on Bai Shui Huang's hand flew towards Qin Jian's arm. The flame mark on Bai Shui Huang's arm disappeared, and now there were 3 flame marks. I'll leave it to you. Bai Shui Huang smiled happily, and the next moment she disappeared. She wasn't killed, but she was teleported to the 3rd floor. There were less than 4 flame brands on her arm, so she did not have the qualifications to stay on the 4th floor. Fortunately, if she admitted defeat, she would only lose 1 flame brand, so she could still stay on the 3rd floor and not directly fall to the 1st floor. I didn't expect that girl to run away. Qin Jian walked out of the explosion with a face full of annoyance. He thought that he could defeat Bai Shui Huang, but he didn't expect that she would run away. It was equivalent to losing a duck that was in his hand, so he couldn't be happy. Yi Tianyan's eyes are focused on Qin Jian's body. He lifted his foot and walked towards the arena. Every step is so heavy. I will challenge you on behalf of the 100 clan leader. Yi Tianyan said indifferently. Not interested. You don't even have the Phoenix bloodline. It's not interesting at all. Qin Jian waved his hand. He wasn't interested at all. I don't know if you're interested? Tianyan stretched out his hand, and there was a mark on the third flame mark, which meant that he was the third floor's floor lord. The third floor's floor lord. After Qin Jian saw it, his eyes immediately turned red. You killed my brother. Chapter 801. You actually killed my brother. Qin Jian was furious. He raised his giant axe and roared. You trash of the bottom of the human race, how dare you kill my brother? I want you dead. Enraged, the barrier around them immediately rose and enveloped the two of them. This meant that the competition had officially begun, and there was no difficulty at all. When Tianyan knew that Qin Jian was Qin Jian's brother, he knew that Qin Jian would be easily angered by him, and he wouldn't even need to wait a week to challenge him. When these evil spirit races were enraged, it was very easy for them to lose their minds, especially those who were used to being domineering. Many people have killed me, but no matter how I die, I will not die in the hands of your trash evil spirit race. Tianyan sneered. His hands were still behind his back. He didn't have any intention to fight at all. The surrounding cultivators were full of doubts. They didn't know what kind of race Tianyan was talking about. They had never heard of the evil spirit race before. If our evil spirit race is trash, then your human race is simply the trash among the trash. Qin Jian was furious. He swung his giant axe towards Tianyan. The 5 flame marks on his arm quickly burst out. The power was even more powerful than when he was fighting by Shui Huang. He was completely angry, especially when the other party was the enemy who killed his brother. How could he not be angry? Ghost Nether devours the sky. Qin Jian roared. All of his strength burst out. Countless ghost flames covered his body and poured into the giant axe in his hand, gathering into an even bigger giant axe. He didn't care about his identity being exposed. After all, most people didn't know what kind of race the evil spirit race was, and even if they knew, he wasn't worried at all. He was full of anger now. He just wanted to kill Tianyan, nothing else. Divine Messenger, be careful of his power. He is the floor lord here. He can control the power here. Shopkeeper Yi shouted from the side, reminding Bai Shui Huang that Bai Shui Huang suffered a big loss just now. If it was outside, Qin Jian would definitely be suppressed, but here Qin Jian was slightly better. It was beyond their imagination. Tianyan turned a deaf ear to Qin Jian's words and stood in place. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he faced Qin Jian, who was about to strike down. Do you think that you can suppress everything with the power of the ancient underworld divine pagoda, with this trashy power of fire? Naive. With a shake of his arm, the netherworld flames quickly surged from the 4 flame marks on his arm. Seeing this scene, the surrounding cultivators looked at him as if he was an idiot. Even though Tianyan's flames were not bad, but it was 5 firebrands against 4 firebrands. The result was obvious. The more flame imprints he had, the stronger the flame energy he could control. Therefore, the story master position was always guarded by stronger cultivators. Basically, they could intimidate most cultivators so that they would not dare to challenge them. For example, most of the people in the 3rd floor were at the core transformation stage, but the floor master was at the void spirit stage. Most of the 4th floor's cultivators were at the void spirit stage, and the floor lord was at the peak of spirit king stage. I think you are even more naive. Qin Jian's giant axe is already swinging towards Tianyan. He wants to cut him in half. No matter what kind of power he has, his only goal now is to kill Tianyan. Xiao. The sound of the axe cutting through the dense spiritual power in the surrounding air almost tore the space apart. Fortunately, the space here was stable enough, otherwise, it would have been split in half. However, even if the space was not split in half, the surrounding spiritual power was still being sucked into the space, and was heading towards Tianyan at the same time. Tianyan gently raised his hand and pinched the giant axe in front of him. Bang! The giant axe that was coming towards Tianyan stopped abruptly. Hoo! A gust of wind swept over, but it only slightly blew up the corner of his clothes. It didn't even leave a scratch on his body. Even the terrifying flames of the netherworld were instantly suppressed by the flames of the netherworld in his hands, and even continued to devour the flames in his hands. In less than a moment, the originally vigorous flames of the netherworld on the giant axe were sucked dry. This, Qin Jian's face instantly turned red. He used all his strength, but he couldn't even move an inch. The cultivators at the side stared with their eyes wide open, their eyeballs almost popping out. Such a terrifying attack was forcefully stopped there with just 2 fingers? If they didn't know that the two of them had no relationship and had a grudge against Yi Tianyan for killing his brother, they would have suspected that it was an act. Such a terrifying power was caught just like that. How was this possible? The truth was so terrifying. He caught it with just one hand. Didn't you say that we humans are trash? Are you very arrogant? I will let you chop me now. Do you have the ability to chop me? Yi Tianyan looked at him coldly and said, I also killed your brother. You can use your weapon to chop me now. Chop towards my head. Qin Jian kept swinging with all his strength, but it didn't move an inch. Yi Tianyan seemed to be connected to the earth. He couldn't even pull it out, let alone attack. Story Master Qin. I just received new information. It's to not recklessly fight with the 3rd floor Story Master. We have to discuss a strategy. A guard hurriedly rushed out. When he saw this scene, he was instantly dumbfounded. Everything was too late. Story Master Qin Jian had already started fighting with Yi Tianyan. It was just that the scene looked a little strange. The two of them just froze there, not moving at all. In the next moment, the storage ring on Qin Jian's hand flashed. Another huge axe appeared in his hand. He actually abandoned his own weapon and swapped it for another one. The moment he took it out, he fiercely slashed at Yi Tianyan's waist. Without any nonsense, he directly attacked. Yi Tianyan was even more violent. He grabbed the axe's blade and smashed it forward. The axe's handle, which wasn't sharp at all, turned into a long rod and sent Qin Jian flying. Dong! Like a rubber ball, Qin Jian was sent flying by the rod. He rolled a few times on the ground, and a large part of his chest caved in. If it wasn't the axe's handle but the axe's blade, Qin Jian would definitely be split in half. Is this still the power of the human race? Qin Jian's face paled in fear. He slapped the ground and ran out of the barrier. He already knew that he was no match for Yi Tianyan. If he continued to fight, forget about avenging his brother. He might even lose his life. The power of the human race isn't something you trash can understand. Yi Tianyan clenched his fist. Killing intent flashed across his eyes. He aimed at Qin Jian and punched. Firmament icebound fist. Dong. Chapter 802. One punch turned Qin Jian into an ice sculpture, and he even used the netherworld flame? Everyone could clearly sense that Qin Jian no longer had the slightest bit of breath, and it looked like he was completely dead. Ding. Successfully killed Qin Jian. Reward 360 million EXP. 56,000 CPS 5,000 SPS. Reward, Evil Spirit Blood, Evil Spirit Axe, Low-Grade Holy Tool, Evil Spirit Bone, Evil Spirit Soul. Yi Tianyan didn't have the time to study the Evil Spirit series. Yi Tianyan decided to study it when he has time. Everyone was stunned. Qin Jian's 5 flame marks are stronger than Yi Tianyan. How can he be suppressed by Yi Tianyan who only has 4 flame marks? Moreover, Qin Jian's netherworld fire is frozen. It is simply unreasonable. But the fact is in front of them, not only is Yi Tianyan's strength crushing Yi Tianyan, even his netherworld fire is crushing Yi Tianyan. This is not netherworld fire, he is using heavenly Yin fire. One of the sharp-eyed people immediately saw it and hurriedly shouted. Netherworld fire should be light blue, he is using dark blue flame. It is not the same level of flame at all. This is the legendary heavenly Yin fire. Only a few people can control the heavenly Yin fire. What heavenly Yin fire? Everyone was surprised. They have never seen heavenly Yin fire before. They only heard about it from the rumors. Rumor has it that after reaching the 7th or 8th floor, there is a chance to control heavenly Yin fire, but they have never gone up there, and the powerhouses above are too lazy to come down. The powerhouses above have all kinds of resources, and the cultivation place is much better than the lower floors. Unless they want to kill their enemy, it is impossible to go down there. The environment below is so bad, there is no point in coming down. Then the flame mark on Qin Jian's arm quickly rushed over, and quickly drilled into Yi Tianyan's arm, forming the 5th flame mark. Tianyan successfully condensed the fifth flame mark in such a short time. If the cultivators who have been trapped here for a long time knew about this, what kind of expression would they have? Tianyan didn't answer them, but when Qin Jian was about to be teleported away, he quickly rushed over and kicked the ice sculpture into pieces, turning it into a pile of ice that sprinkled on the ground. When the floor was dyed red with blood, Tianyan was already teleported away. Even if you are teleported away, I will make sure you die without a complete corpse. Tianyan's eyes were ice cold. He could not show mercy to the evil spirit race. Even if he died, he could not let the other party die so comfortably. Soon after, he became the floor master of the fourth floor and had greater control over it. At the same time, the floor master of the third floor became vacant. In order to become the floor master of the third floor, there was no need for a challenge. All one had to do was to go through a certain test. He believed that many cultivators on the third level had sensed the situation over there and were rushing over to take the assessment. Your news is a little too late. Tianyan looked at the guard and smiled. I have to say, your news travels too slowly. But even if it does, it's useless. Being stared at by Tianyan, the guard couldn't help but take a few steps back, his expression extremely ugly. The people around Qin Jian were definitely trusted aides, and because they were trusted aides, they were definitely from the evil spirit race. The guard in front of him was from the evil spirit race and was immediately targeted by him. The next moment, the guard seemed to smell danger. He turned around and ran to the side, but Tianyan's cold voice came from behind. Judgment. In an instant, a barrier enveloped the area, wrapping the guard in it. The cultivators on the side were pushed back by the barrier so that they could expand the area. Immediately, Tianyan didn't do anything. He just threw a fireball and froze the escaping guard into an ice sculpture. With the cultivation of void spirit stage, it's not difficult at all. Bing. Successfully killed trash guard. Reward, 31 million EXP, 16,000 crazy point, 2,000 SPs. Obtained evil spirit blood. Every time they kill the evil spirit race, the sin value is very high. Obviously, they have done a lot of cruel things, otherwise, they wouldn't be so high. When everyone saw this situation, they suddenly took a deep breath. This is really ruthless. Even the trusted aides of the floor master are not spared? They didn't know that they killed the evil spirit race. That's why they are so ruthless. Divine Messenger, you are too powerful. Even the power of the floor master can't compete with you. Shopkeeper Yi sighed and said, It seems that I am overthinking. When you killed the imperial preceptor of the heavenly netherworld divine nation, it was easy for you to deal with these evil spirit race. He had shouted out in a moment of desperation. Tianyan nodded and asked directly, Are you here to eradicate these evil spirit race this time? Shopkeeper Yi nodded and replied, Yes, we found out that there are a lot of evil spirit race here, and they occupy most of the power of the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Now that the situation of the Phoenix race is stable, we plan to eradicate these evil spirit race. If we continue to let them develop, I am afraid that we will also be threatened. The Phoenix race's thinking is a bit more long-term. Some forces feel that this matter has nothing to do with them, so maybe the evil spirit race will just stay here and not leave. That was utter nonsense. How could they possibly stay here forever? Once they felt that their cultivation was strong enough to conquer the world, they would rush out and crush all the forces like a hot knife through butter. At that time, they might not even be able to react. The heavenly netherworld divine nation is constantly sending people to support their own forces. Otherwise, how can they be so powerful? Thinking about it carefully, the heavenly netherworld divine nation is just a small force established by the evil spirit race outside. The real powerful forces are hiding here. Tianyan guessed that it is very likely that they are trying to control the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Once they control this thing, it will be easy to crush the netherworld. Immediately after, they continue to understand more about the evil spirit race. Generally speaking, they will continue to eradicate the forces of the evil spirit race. In addition to Bai Shui Huang, other elders also came, but not many of them came. If all of them came, then the Phoenix race will really have no guarantee. It's almost time. I will go to the 5th floor now and prepare to challenge the 5th floor master. Yi Tianyan did not continue to stay here. He planned to go to the 5th floor and challenge the 5th floor master. He wants to attack in one breath and challenge the floor master here, so that he can master more power. If he kills his way to the 8th floor, he will be equivalent to an elder, and he will have the power to control most of the situation here. Chapter 803. After Yi Tianyan finished explaining, he quickly rushed to the 5th floor. He doesn't want to drag his feet. He wants to hurry up. Now it was a race against time. He had to conquer the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda in one fell swoop. This was the gate of the ghost world. If the demons attacked and the ghost world fell, they would lose half of the battle. Moreover, even if the evil spirit race didn't attack, the situation was still very serious. If they continued to develop, the ghost world would be occupied by them before the evil spirit race attacked. Soon he arrived at the 5th floor. The number of people here had decreased sharply. The lowest cultivation level had jumped from core transformation stage to void spirit stage, and spirit king stage cultivators could be seen everywhere. Although the number of people was small, it was still a lot. It's the new kid. He became the 4th floor master so quickly. This is too exaggerated. It's true. He didn't join any camp, but he came here alone. It's unbelievable. It seems that he wants to challenge the 5th floor master. I wonder if Su Zhongming will accept the challenge. They didn't welcome Yi Tianyan this time. They thought that he came from a camp. Obviously, his news had spread throughout the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda. From the 1st floor to the 4th floor, he became the floor master. Now that he had come to the 5th floor, how could they not be shocked? 4th floor master, are you here to challenge Su Zhongming? One of them asked with a smile. They didn't know Yi Tianyan's name, so they could only address him as the 4th floor master. They are not afraid that Yi Tianyan will attack them. The power of trial is amazing, but there is also a limit to the number of times it can be used. The key is that they did not provoke Yi Tianyan. Su Zhongming? A foreign demon. Each of them named themselves with the surname of this place. It's really funny. Yi Tianyan shook his head. He knew that the evil spirit race wouldn't call themselves that name, but he knew that he had to adapt to this place. Demon? What's that? They were all confused. You don't know what race they are? Yi Tianyan glanced at the cultivators around him. Even the weakest among them was at the void spirit stage, so they should know a bit more. We don't know about demons, but we do know that they are from the evil spirit race. What's the problem? One of them leaned against a pillar and looked at him indifferently. So it's the evil spirit race. I was wondering what to say, but most of them know that they are the evil spirit race. A race that knows how to devour. I even saw them devour a few cultivators with my own eyes. It's really bloody. One of them laughed as if it had nothing to do with him. Since you know, don't tell me you don't have any ideas? Yi Tianyan's eyes narrowed, staring straight at them. What thoughts can they have? What does it have to do with us how they want to devour? We do our thing, and they eat theirs. As long as they don't disturb us, it's fine. Furthermore, wasn't it just eating some cultivators? It had nothing to do with demonic beasts eating cultivators. It's not like we're the ones eating it. One of them spread his hands, looking indifferent. That's right. As long as you get along well with them, they won't care about you. If you help them do things, you can even get a lot of benefits. What does it matter? Another cultivator spread out his hands and said, the life and death of others has nothing to do with me. I can do whatever I want. Do you think that if you don't provoke them, they won't cause trouble for you? Yi Tianyan's gaze gradually turned cold. He thought that he didn't know, but it turned out that he already knew. However, it seemed that he didn't have any thoughts at all, and even planned to work for them. Brat, are you stupid? Do you think that just because we called you 4th floor master, you're the savior? As long as we don't provoke them, we'll be fine. We've been fine all this time. People often die outside, but you never go and save them? That's right, they are the ones who control the power. If we resist, we will only die. In this day and age, a wise man submits to circumstances. Only by serving them well will there be more benefits. What benefits can we get if we resist them? Or do you give us benefits? They looked at Yi Tianyan disdainfully, their mouths full of ridicule. as if the life and death of others had nothing to do with them. They had long since become numb to it. It could even be said that they had been reduced to being lackeys of the evil spirit race, and they still had to work for them. If he didn't know, it would be understandable. Now that he knew that it was the evil spirit race, not only did he not reject them, he even chose to help them. His heart instantly chilled to the freezing point. Fortunately, this kind of cultivator was not everywhere. Otherwise, everything would be over. He never thought of himself as a savior, but he would definitely not support a power that could destroy his own race at any time. Right now he was more concerned with saving himself, saving his family and friends. The lives of others indeed had nothing to do with him. That was true. What did the situation of others have to do with him? If he were to save them all, who would be able to save them? However, he would never lower his head to his enemies, nor would he be like a dog that would wag its tail and listen to orders just because there were some benefits. If one day they rule the 3 realms, they will capture your family one by one and eat them when they are hungry. You still choose to support them? Yi Tianyun looked at them coldly. Haha, are you an idiot? How is that possible? If that day really comes and I serve them well, they will definitely give us a place to live, and they will not kill my family. What does the life and death of others have to do with me? What an idiot! A savior has come. Full of nonsense. Judgment. Yi Tianyun's gaze was extremely cold, instantly enveloping the cultivator. The cultivator was shocked. He turned around and fled to the side, but he was too slow. A sharp light had already pierced through the other party's body, and in the blink of an eye, a large hole appeared in his chest. It looked extremely terrifying. In the blink of an eye, he had killed a person. He was furious to the extreme. This was because he remembered the memories that the King of the Heavens had given him. It had to be said that there were also traitors like this at that time. In order to survive, they completely disregarded everyone else. They even mocked and ridiculed those who resisted, saying that it might be better if they submitted to the evil spirit race. There were even some who helped the evil spirit race kill their companions in order to obtain more benefits and status. In the end, what awaited them was to be devoured. There was no reward at all, only devouring. In the eyes of the evil spirit race, the lives of the 3 realms were incomparably low level, just a pile of trash. Was it possible to let trash stay by his side? What was sad was that they were a group of numb people. A group of traitors thought that by kneeling and licking, they would be able to obtain benefits and status. It truly chilled the hearts of most people. Chapter 804. Without any hesitation, he killed one of the cultivators on the spot. This was not the evil spirit race, it was just a very ordinary cultivator, but the person he killed was this kind of person. Once the evil spirit race carried out a general attack, these people would definitely be the first to become traitors and choose to join the evil spirit race's side. To them, whichever side was stronger, or which side had more benefits, they would immediately run over to join that side. What was the point of leaving such a person behind? It was better to kill him earlier than to leave him behind to harm them. Run, run. Yi Tianyun's actions scared the surrounding cultivators so much that they ran away. They were not very clear about Yi Tianyun's cultivation, but to be able to become the floor master of the 4th floor, he was definitely not a simple person. At the very least, he was much stronger than them. Yi Tianyun looked coldly at the fleeing crowd, and did not chase after them. Killing this kind of person would only be a waste of time. He was only furious to the extreme just now, which was why he killed someone to suppress his shock. Then he raised his foot and walked towards the 5th floor's floor master's palace. His true purpose in coming here was to challenge the 5th floor's floor master. At the same time, 2 of the cultivators who had run away did not flee back to their own camp, but to the 5th floor's floor master's palace. Lord Su, Lord Su. The 2 of them hurriedly ran in, and the guards immediately stopped them, not letting them in. What's going on? Su Zhongming just so happened to be sitting on a seat in front of the palace, and there was a person beside him with his head lowered as he said something. Lord Su, the cultivator who killed the 2 Qin brothers, has come up, and he even said a lot of disrespectful words to you. The 2 of them shouted loudly. Su Zhongming waved his hand, signaling the guards to let them in. He supported his head with his hands and looked at them with interest. Su Zhongming's appearance was just like his name. He looked like a scholar, and his skinny body did not have any traces of the evil spirit race. However, the 6 flame brands on his arm were enough to prove his strength. Disrespectful words. What disrespectful words? Su Zhongming smiled lightly. They said that you are from the evil spirit race, a race of trash. They even said that the lords will devour everyone and occupy the 3 realms. That's right, but we don't believe that. Lord Su is so benevolent that he will give you benefits for helping you. If a fight really breaks out, we will definitely stand on your side. We believe that being with Lord Su is the best choice. They added oil and vinegar to the story, wantonly exaggerating their loyalty, and even revealing that they would choose to stand by Su Zhongming's side when the war began. Su Zhongming stood up, walked down step by step, looked them up and down, and said with a light smile, "Looks like you guys are quite loyal. Even if our evil spirit race were to occupy the 3 realms, you would still choose to stand on our side and become enemies with your own clansmen?" That's right. It's the law of the jungle. They are not as strong as you, so it's normal for them to be ruled over. We are willing to be the first to surrender, and we are even more willing to serve you. We are willing to risk our lives for you and work for you. We are willing to do anything for you. All of them were extremely excited. They all wanted to use this matter to choose to join the evil spirit race. Previously, they couldn't join in. They were blocked outside and couldn't enter even if they wanted to. The reason was simple. If they didn't have the qualifications, how could they join? Interesting. Su Zhongming walked over, looked at them and said, "Do you really want to serve me that much?" "Yes, that's right. We only hope to join as soon as possible. Lord Su can give us an official position. We definitely won't betray you. We will listen to your orders." When they saw that there was a chance, they were extremely excited and felt that they had great foresight. Su Zhongming's eyes flashed, and then he lightly spat out, "Judgment." In the next moment, the 2 of them were enveloped inside. Before the 2 of them could react, Su Zhongming grabbed one of them. He originally looked like a scholar, but in the blink of an eye, he had turned into a huge demon. He opened his huge mouth and swallowed one of them. He began to chew, and the sound of crunching could be heard throughout the entire palace. How could this be? The other person fell limply to the ground, scared out of his wits. This was simply too terrifying. His companion had been swallowed in the blink of an eye. He didn't even have to spit out his bones to be swallowed just like that. Trash, like you still want to join our camp? You even want to have an official position? Do you think you're worthy? A bunch of trash. If you betray your own people today, you will betray us one day. Moreover, we would need the help of trash like you. You must be dreaming. Su Zhongming's eyes were full of disdain and contempt. From the beginning, they had looked down on the human race, and even all the races in the 3 realms. Getting them to help was nothing more than speeding up the process. But after the matter was over, they would definitely get rid of all dissidents. The cultivator was so scared that he cried. His heart was green with regret. He didn't expect that what Yi Tianyan said was true. What equality? It was all bullshit. He was just making use of them. When they said that they wanted to work together or become subordinates, the other party was full of disdain and contempt, which made his heart turn cold. Then he quickly got up and fled to the side, wanting to escape from this judgment formation. But how could his cultivation compare to Su Zhongming's speed? In the blink of an eye, Su Zhongming blocked his way. He looked at him coldly and said, "I'll spare your life, but you have to help me do one thing." No problem." The cultivator kept nodding. As long as he could live, he was willing to do anything. Ruin that guy's reputation. Make him your human race's enemy. Su Zhongming said coldly. Let him know the consequences of going against us. No problem. The cultivator kept nodding. He didn't care what would happen to Yi Tianyan. They only cared about themselves. Then get out of here. Su Zhongming looked at him in disgust and gestured for him to get out. Staying here was equivalent to polluting the air. Yes. The cultivator hurriedly got up and ran out. But just a few seconds after he ran out, he flew back and rolled on the ground. His chest caved in, and he couldn't be more dead. You let him go, but I won't let a traitor like him go. A figure walked in from outside. It was Yi Tianyun, who came to challenge him. He looked at Su Zhongming coldly. I want to challenge you. Do you dare to accept trash? Chapter 805. The conversation between Su Zhongming and the cultivator was heard by Yi Tianyun from outside. He was not angry but sad. It was precisely because there were so many of these vermin that the three realms would easily fall into chaos. It was easy for them to change sides or become traitors. They would do anything for the sake of benefits. The key was that the other party would not appreciate it at all, and would only devour them mercilessly as their own food. It was like a dog wagging its tail to obey any order, but in the end it would be eaten. It was worse than a dog. If a dog was obedient, it would definitely eat and drink well. If it obeyed the orders of the evil spirit race, it would only put itself in danger. The evil spirit race had an absolute exclusivity. They would never allow any race to join their camp, and would only completely exclude them. They would not make friends with food, they would only devour it. Challenge me? Do you think you are qualified to challenge me? Su Zhongming sneered. His words were full of disdain. At least I am qualified now. Whether you agree or not, we will see the result in a week. If you agree now, you will know the result immediately. Yi Tianyun looked at him coldly. Detailed data was also presented in front of him. Su Zhongming, evil spirit race's powerhouse, has a very strong evil spirit race bloodline, but also mixed with the bloodline of the ancient underworld god king. Cultivation is at the 4th level of the Saint King stage, good at netherworld fire, has amazing attainments in controlling netherworld fire. He also has 5 flame brands, but his control is stronger, and he can control the stronger heavenly Yin fire. Su Zhongming's martial arts include Evil Spirit Descend, Evil Spirit Devour, etc. Weakness is the extreme Yang fire. Comprehensive combat power is 4.5 billion, normal state, superimposed with the terrifying power of the Story Lord. 5th level of the Saint King stage has 4.5 billion combat power. One must know that the ordinary Saint King stage powerhouse he fought before was at most 1.7 or 1.8 billion combat power. Combined with equipment, it was about 2 billion combat power at most. After the eruption, Su Zhongming's combat power was different, but at least he did not have any weapons. Not to mention weapons, even his clothes were relatively ordinary, and he did not wear any amazing combat equipment. Just this alone had a combat power of 4.5 billion, which was the most heaven-defying Saint King stage 4th level he had ever seen. To be able to stack to such an extent, it was most likely due to the power of the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda, and the astonishing bloodline of the evil spirit race. They only needed to have a little bit of the bloodline of the ancient underworld godly king's descendants. As long as the ancient underworld divine pagoda didn't think that they were from the evil spirit race, that would be enough. The bloodline power of Ji Yang and the others was far weaker than Su Zhongming. It was obvious that the pure evil spirit race were all holed up here to cultivate. Their level was similar to that of those old farts at the bottom of the sea in the mortal world. They were both in a relatively primitive state. However, to him it was still meaningless. They were all existences that he could crush with a flip of his hand. Su Zhongming sized him up and said in a deep voice, 1 week from now, I will let you know what an ant is. All right. I hope you can still say that in a week. Yi Tianyun didn't waste any time. After the challenge was issued, the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda would record it down. At that time there would definitely be a duel. No matter where they were, they would be teleported to the duel. Otherwise, if the other party hid, wouldn't it be impossible to find him? At that time, even if he hid in the cultivation room, he would still be forcibly teleported. Unless he chose to leave the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda, if he didn't come he would basically be judged to have lost. After Yi Tianyun left, Su Zhongming frowned and immediately turned his head to look behind him. He said in a deep voice, What's going on? Why did you ask me to refuse the duel? That kid is so arrogant. I can even smell the bloodline of the King of the Heavens. The King of the Heavens is our enemy. Then a black shadow came out from inside. He had 6 arms on his back, a dark body, and a black luster flowing around his body. Obviously, he was from the evil spirit race. This kid is very strange. His cultivation is not as simple as you think. He is much stronger than you. Song Yuheng looked at Su Zhongming coldly and said indifferently, "If you want to die, I won't stop you. However, everything is more important. If he continues to climb up and sneaks into the human race, the power will be divided. This is not allowed by the elders. That kid is so strong. That's impossible." Su Zhongming obviously didn't believe it. He was the one who destroyed the heavenly netherworld holy kingdom. Song Yuheng said indifferently, "Is this enough information?" Su Zhongming was shocked. Yes, they were staying here, but it didn't mean that they didn't know the situation outside. It could even be said that they were very clear about the situation outside. If they had more than 5 flame imprints, they could easily leave, so it wasn't a big problem. Therefore, information from the outside could easily be transmitted in. They were very clear about the matter of the heavenly netherworld holy kingdom. It was destroyed by the Phoenix race's divine emissaries. It could be said that the Phoenix race was the one who destroyed the heavenly netherworld holy kingdom. This kid is the main culprit behind the destruction of the heavenly netherworld divine nation. It turned out to be him. Su Zhongming's heart sank. How could they not know the strength of the heavenly netherworld divine nation? They had sent so many Saint King stage masters, many of whom were at the peak of the Saint King stage, especially the one who was equivalent to an old ancestor, but all of them had been killed by this divine envoy. In other words, even if he had the support of the ancient underworld divine pagoda, he would still die here. The gap in cultivation was too big. Even old ancestors had died, let alone him. That's right. Previously, our spies saw the Phoenix race and called him divine emissary. A human is called divine emissary. I don't think there is anyone else besides that terrifying divine emissary. Song Yuheng said indifferently. Then, do you still want to accept the challenge? I don't want to accept the challenge. But if I don't accept the challenge, won't I still have to accept the challenge after a week? Su Zhongming smiled awkwardly. He was sweating profusely when he heard that. Originally, he wanted to accept the challenge. Who knew that Song Yuheng would send him a voice transmission and tell him not to accept the challenge? That's true. But what if he dies in the ancient underworld divine pagoda within a week? Song Yuheng said with a faint smile. If he dies here in a week, do you want the old ancestors to take action? Su Zhongming's eyes lit up. His cultivation wasn't high, but the old ancestors' cultivation was very strong. Who said that Patriarch and the others must take action? Some things can only be solved by using our brains. It's not something that can be solved by devouring others. Song Yuheng patted his shoulder and said with a faint smile, "Do what you have to do. We will take care of the rest." Chapter 806. Yi Tianyan didn't know about Song Yuheng's plan, so after refusing, he went down from the 4th floor. He could only wait for a week. Anyway, it wasn't a long time, so he didn't mind waiting for a while. It just so happened that he wanted to see how Bai Shuihuang's situation was, as well as Fan Shueshuan's situation. He didn't know if she could still bear it. When he went down to the 3rd floor, he heard an uproar coming from the Floor Lord Palace. When he walked over, he saw the Floor Lord brand on Bai Shuihuang's arm, which meant that she had successfully passed the assessment and became the Floor Lord of the 3rd floor. Although she couldn't become the Floor Lord of the 4th floor, she could still compete for the Floor Lord of the 3rd floor. There were a lot of seriously injured cultivators and evil spirit races corpses around her. The dead ones were quickly moved out, and even the bloodstains disappeared. They were all cleaned up. Sure enough, becoming the Floor Lord of the 3rd floor won't be a problem. Yi Tianyan looked around and saw that there were many Spirit King stage cultivators who were defeated, but there were no Saint King stage cultivators. Saint King stage cultivators were not cabbages. The main reason was that they wouldn't come down to become the Floor Lord, because their level was too low. If they had a position in the 3rd floor, it would be impossible for them to come down to become the Floor Lord. This was not equivalent to a promotion, but a demotion, and their authority would be greatly reduced. Otherwise, if every Floor Lord was at the Saint King stage, No one would dare to challenge the floor lord. There were also other Phoenix clan cultivators present. There were also 2 elders. One was shopkeeper Yi, Elder Yi, and the other was Elder Lei. The other one was Elder Lei. Both of them were very powerful elders, but Elder Lei had only obtained 3 flame imprints, so his speed was a little slow. According to the information provided by shopkeeper Yi, they had been here for several months, and they had only reached the 4th floor. Bai Shuihuang originally wanted to challenge him, but he refused, so she could only choose to challenge Qin Jian on the 4th floor. On the other hand, Yi Tianyan was too fast, and he rushed to the 5th floor in a flash. They were stuck here mainly because they were on the 1st and 2nd level. They had to climb up bit by bit, and without joining a faction they were slower. Because Bai Shuihuang didn't have the flame brand, she had to work hard again, but with her identity as a story lord, it would be relatively easy for her to fight. Congratulations, Patriarch, for becoming the floor master of the 3rd floor. Yi Tianyan smiled and walked over to congratulate them. Speaking of which, clan leader, I didn't expect to see you here. I didn't expect to meet you here either. Did you get some news about the evil spirit race? Bai Shuihuang came over and asked. No, I didn't. I originally wanted to look for the monarch of Holy Kingdom of Ancient Ming. I didn't expect it to be different from what I had expected. Yi Tianyan shook his head helplessly. That's right, this place has been occupied by the evil spirit race. If they are allowed to develop, it will definitely affect the entire underworld. Bai Shuihuang said with a serious expression. Yes, I plan to clear all the way up, but the process is a bit troublesome. It would be great if I could fight all the way up without any restrictions. Yi Tianyan touched his nose and smiled. That's right. Bai Shuihuang and Bai Shuihuang looked at each other and smiled. After saying a few words, Yi Tianyan walked down the stairs. He didn't have anything to say here, so he just let Bai Shuihuang take charge of the meeting. He wanted to see Fan Shueshuan's situation first, and there were other things he needed to do. When he arrived at the 2nd floor, and was about to go down to the 1st floor, he found a familiar figure floating in the distance, releasing the netherworld fire to the extreme. Even if there were only 2 flame brands, the power was still amazing. Even 3 flame brands couldn't compare. This figure was none other than Fan Shueshuan from before. She had now successfully reached the 2nd floor. Because she looked weak, many people came to challenge her, wanting to obtain the flame brand. It was precisely because of this that she was able to rush up so quickly. Now she was about to win. Whether it was her foundation or comprehensive strength, they were quite good. She didn't seem to be a spirit core stage cultivator. It was just that it was impossible for her to climb to the top. Her cultivation was too low, and it would take her a long time to climb to the top. This girl is really strange. I thought she was weak, but who knew she would be tricked? How can she control the netherworld fire so smoothly? That's true. I was almost fooled. If she had challenged me, I would have lost for sure. When they saw Fan Shueshuan's situation, they all exclaimed that Fan Shueshuan's control of the netherworld fire was amazing. Yi Tianyan naturally knew about this. Fan Shueshuan was the descendant of the ancient underworld god king, so naturally, she had some privileges here. The power she released was far more powerful than other powerhouses of the same level. Even if she were to face a floor lord, she wouldn't need to surpass the opponent's cultivation. Soon, Fan Shueshuan successfully won and obtained the flame brand. Because she didn't succeed in killing the netherworld god king, the reward was relatively small. After Fan Shueshuan walked out, she immediately sat down to adjust her breath. She had consumed too much energy, so she couldn't continue to fight. It seems that your ability is not bad. You reached the 2nd floor so quickly. Yi Tianyan walked over and praised her. So it's you. Fan Shueshuan opened her eyes, and when she saw Yi Tianyan, she immediately raised her head proudly and smiled. Of course, don't you know whose territory this is? You already have 5 flame brands, and you have become the floor lord of the 4th floor? When she saw the condition of Yi Tianyan's arm, she was immediately shocked. How long has it been? And he has already reached this level. In total, it has been less than a day, right? Because here, not only do you need to climb the stairs, you also need to find an opponent to fight, otherwise, there is no way to level up so quickly. But Yi Tianyan did it, successfully climbing the stairs in the time it takes for a few incense sticks to burn, and then quickly challenged the opponent. It was that simple. This speed is considered slow. If not for the floor lord of the 5th floor refusing to fight, I probably have 6 flame brands. Yi Tianyan teased her from the side. This. Fan Shueshuan pouted, snorted, and turned her head away, not talking to him. Her previous complacency was immediately gone. She didn't have the slightest bit of interest. Princess. Eldest miss, why did you come here without permission? At this time, an old man rushed over from the side, looking at Fan Shueshuan with a bitter face, but more than that, he was happy he finally found her. Great Elder, why are you here? Fan Shueshuan jumped up, frightened by the situation. Chapter 807. After the Great Elder found Fan Shueshuan, his expression suddenly relaxed, and then immediately became serious. He glared at her and said, "How can I not come?" After saying that, he dragged Fan Shueshuan to the side. Obviously this is not the place to talk, so he quickly dragged Fan Shueshuan away. Big brother Yi, come with me. Fan Shueshuan followed and pulled Yi Tianyan, wanting to drag him over. This is your business, I won't go over to talk. Yi Tianyan smiled. Fan Shueshuan begged. She just wanted Yi Tianyan to come with her. She didn't want to follow the Great Elder alone. Miss, this is... The Great Elder looked up and down at Yi Tianyan, especially when he saw the brand on his arm. He was shocked. This is the 4th floor master, and the key is a human. How can he not be shocked? He is Big Brother Yi, he saved me before, and now he got 5 flame brands in one go. It's only been a day and a half, less than 2 days. I just reached the 2nd floor, and Big Brother Yi is already on the 5th floor. Fan Shueshuan looked at the Great Elder and said, Great Elder, Big Brother Yi promised us that he would help us eradicate those evil spirit race. He is one of us. Is this true? Fan Qingyan was taken aback. He couldn't believe his ears. In less than 2 days, no one would believe it. If it wasn't for the fact that it was his own princess, who would believe this? Of course it's true, Big Brother Yi. Come with us, we need your help. Fan Shueshuan pleaded. Yi Tianyan thought for a while, and finally nodded, and followed them. Fan Qingyan brought them to a cultivation room, and even specially set up a restriction to isolate the sound. Why did you agree to help us? What is your purpose? Fan Qingyan asked simply and rudely. If you want any martial arts or any treasures, as long as you can help us, these are not a problem. He didn't know why Yi Tianyan was here, and he didn't know why he would suddenly help him. It was hard to believe that he didn't have any ulterior motives. I can't say that I'm helping you. I just want to get rid of the evil spirit race. It's that simple. Yi Tianyan said calmly. His purpose for coming here was simple from the beginning. Besides, I want to find the descendants of the ancient underworld deity king, and seek cooperation. Find the descendant of ancient underworld godly king and seek cooperation. Fan Qingyan and the others were startled. They didn't know what Yi Tianyan meant. Immediately, Yi Tianyan told him the general situation, such as the god-king level demon in the mortal world and so on. This situation gave them a big fright. They didn't expect such a thing to happen. There is a record of this in the ancient underworld divine kingdom. There is indeed a similar ancestor of the evil spirit race in the mortal world. It was this ancestor who first led the evil spirit race into the 3 realms. Fan Qingyan said in a deep voice. Who are you? How can you know about this matter? He didn't deny that he was the descendant of the ancient underworld deity king. After all, if he wanted the other party to choose to stand on his side, he had to tell the truth. I am the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king, the descendant of the king of the heavens. Is this identity enough? Yi Tianyan said calmly. What? They were immediately shocked. Every character in the mortal world was a famous existence, and they were all godly king-level existences. Now, Yi Tianyan had 2 of them. It was simply incredible. You are the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king. No wonder you know so much, and you still want to destroy the evil spirit race. Fan Shueshuan pouted and said with some dissatisfaction. Why didn't you say it before? Why are you willing to say it now? What's the point of saying it? You are not the manager of the ancient underworld divine kingdom, and we are all here. Even if I say it, you may not necessarily believe it. Yi Tianyan explained. You. Fan Shueshuan was even angrier. She pouted and turned her face away, refusing to look at Yi Tianyan. Obviously, she was really angry. Do you have any evidence? Fan Qingyun looked at him with burning eyes. Fan Shueshuan trusted him unconditionally, but it didn't mean that he could trust him unconditionally. He still wanted to see how Yi Tianyan would explain it. I do have evidence, but if I release the aura of the King of the Heavens, can you sense it? If I release the power of the heaven-creating divine king, can you recognize it? Yi Tianyan asked. That's not a problem. Fan Qingyun gestured. We have always had a good relationship with the two great divine kings. Among them, the ancient underworld divine pagoda contains the power of the two masters. I have felt it so naturally I know it. The ancient underworld divine pagoda was a divine tool that was blessed by the heaven-creating divine king and the king of the heavens, so it must have their power, so it was normal for him to sense it. The divine runes on the ancient underworld divine pagoda were carved by the heaven-creating divine king, and the ancient underworld divine pagoda was created by the king of the heavens, so how could he not sense it? As for what the ancient underworld divine king specialized in, it was alchemy. It was shocking to say that alchemy could be done with the flame of the netherworld, but it was the truth. The flame of the netherworld could really be used to refine pills, and it could refine more amazing pills than ordinary flames. It could be said that among the three divine kings, the flame of the netherworld was the best in alchemy. That's easy. As soon as his voice fell, Yi Tianyan immediately released the power of the heaven-creating divine king. The familiar power made Fan Qingyun nod, and a little more trust appeared in his eyes. Greetings, young Master Yi. Fan Qingyun bowed respectfully and said, I am very sorry for doubting you before. Fan Qingyun's cultivation was not weak, he was at the third stage of the Saint King stage, but in front of Yi Tianyan, he was still very respectful, even if Yi Tianyan's cultivation was weaker than his. After all, the person in front of him was the only descendant of the heaven-creating divine king, and the descendant of the king of the heavens, so he had to be respectful. It's okay, now I just want to know your preparations. Do you have a plan to deal with them? Yi Tianyan didn't want to be long-winded, he wanted to know what kind of help they could provide. We have a plan, but it can't be implemented immediately. If our people come in, they will be easily discovered, so we can't do anything. I thought about how to break through after a while, but who knew that the princess would come? Fan Qingyun thought of something and explained. I forgot to introduce her, she is our Princess Fan. Because our patriarch, who is Princess Fan's father, personally came here, there has been no news of him for a long time, so she came in without telling us. So there is such a thing. Yi Tianyan looked at Fan Shueshuan. She really has a lot of courage. It turns out that she came to find her father. In fact, before the patriarch came in, he told us to wait for the signal, and as soon as there is a signal, we will immediately move out. Who knows that after a few years, there is still no news, so Princess Fan came up with this plan. Fan Qingyun sighed. Chapter 808. Yi Tianyan learned that Fan Shueshuan's father was the current king of the ancient underworld divine kingdom. His name was Fan Tianchen. He had come here a year ago. Once the signal was sent, he would attack. But so much time had passed, and there was no signal at all. The signal was very simple. One of the floors was glowing. It was easy to do this. One just had to become the floor master and control the power here to release it. It was that simple. Normally, the floor masters wouldn't do this, mainly because it was meaningless. This was usually done to release an attack or something to attack the situation outside. It could be said that the ancient underworld divine tower was like a city with 9 turrets. Each area could release amazing power. This was the signal. It was the same as exposing themselves. Since they were told to attack, they wouldn't care if they were exposed or not. But after so long, there was no news at all. Fan Shueshuan sneaked in alone. She was so worried that she forgot about her own safety. But they all had a way to hide their bloodline power. If it wasn't for the appraisal eye, no one would be able to tell that they were the descendants of the ancient underworld divine king. However, this method couldn't be used on everyone. It could only be used on a portion of people. It was equivalent to a type of concealment treasure that could be worn on one's body to enter. Unless he exposed his origin bloodline power in a one-on-one battle, no one would know about it. If they knew, people would have come to stop them. Fan Shueishuan was the best example. No one came to stop her. She was no different from an ordinary cultivator. It doesn't seem easy. I'll go back to the palace and see if I can find your father, Yi Tianyan said. In the palace, he could use the floor master's power to find the cultivators on the floor. He could clearly know where they were, no matter where they were. But he couldn't see the other floors. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come down to find Fan Shueishuan. He could see them clearly from above. Big brother Yi, I'll leave it to you. Fan Shueishuan's expression was especially serious when talking about her father. But now that you're all here, what about the other plans? Yi Tianyan asked. This plan can only be carried out ahead of schedule. We will increase the speed of our attacks and seize the positions of the various story masters. The floor master is the key. If we want to truly regain control of the position, the floor master is the key. Fan Qingyun said solemnly. Only by going up like this, when we reach a higher level, can we challenge that high-level powerhouse and pry open the position of an elder. Yi Tianyan nodded his head and quickly went into the details of the plan. It would be best if they could move together. Although fighting alone suited his character, it would undoubtedly be easier to attack if they spread out their strength. All right, let's carry out the plan now. After the discussion, they immediately acted according to the plan. Fan Qingyun began to move closely according to their previous plan. After coming to the first floor, Yi Tianyan took out the Immortal General's summoning token and used it without any hesitation. A long list of names appeared in front of him. Whether it was the 12 valued hairpins or Leng Hu and the others, their names were all listed one by one. They were now quickly helping Yi Tianyan expand his forces or assisting Shi Shuiyun and the others so that they could kill their enemies in front of the other empires. He did not summon Leng Hu and the others. Instead, he selected the 12 valued hairpins and used it immediately. With a buzz and a flash of light, the 12 of them appeared in front of Yi Tianyan at the same time. Even the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda could not stop the effects of the Immortal General's summoning token. It ignored the divine inscriptions and appeared directly on the first floor without needing to climb any chains. This was the nature of the Immortal General's summoning token. No restrictions could stop it, and it could be easily summoned. Similarly, if Yi Tianyan went out and used the Immortal General's summoning token, he could also easily summon people out. They had just been teleported over, and were completely confused. They did not know what was going on. Most of them were running errands, such as patrolling the empires to see if there were any evil spirit tribe members. Once they found an evil spirit tribe member, they would be killed. They were basically divided into several groups and scattered across the empires. Therefore, their mission was to kill the evil spirit tribe members. There was no other mission. When they had just arrived, a ray of light came from the sky and branded their arms. A flame brand appeared. This was the reason why he had come down. If he had appeared on the third or fourth floor, he would have been teleported down very quickly, and he would still have to come down. He just wanted to train them well, and let them grow up quickly here. Young master. When they saw Yi Tianyan, they immediately knelt down and greeted him respectfully. Get up. Yi Tianyan gestured for them to get up quickly and explained. Don't be surprised. I used a special method to summon all of you here. This time, I asked you to come here to give you a mission. The first mission is to not die. Everything is for your own safety. The second mission is to get rid of the evil spirit tribe members here. However, the evil spirit tribe members here are not easy to get rid of. The last mission is to cultivate well and raise your cultivation level. Then he began to explain the rules here. When they heard it, they were a little surprised. They did not expect there to be such a cultivation place. Do you understand what I said? Yi Tianyan looked at them and said. Understood. The 12 valued females shouted in unison. It's good that you understand. You can start now. Everything is for your own safety. Do you understand? Understood. Then they quickly moved and joined the battle on the first floor. Yi Tianyan believed that with their participation, the lower levels would soon be ruled by them. The 12 of them were all young girls and looked absolutely harmless. This way, it would be very easy for people to challenge them. Other people would not care whether the opponent was a little girl or not. As long as they could bring them benefits, they would still kill the little girl. Yi Tianyan's order was that simple. The evil spirit tribe must be killed. If ordinary cultivators tried to kill them, they must be killed. Everything depends on your luck. Yi Tianyan looked at their backs and walked to the 5th floor. He needs to wait for a week, and then the final battle will begin. Apart from that, he had nothing else to do. Chapter 809. Yi Tianyan quickly returned to the 5th floor. As soon as he arrived, someone came to greet him. Level 4 Master. They surrounded him with smiles on their faces. Their faces were full of respect, and their waists were bent to the extreme. Then they nodded continuously. Yi Tianyan glanced at them and responded softly. Then he continued to walk inside, too lazy to pay attention to them. Level 4 Master, Level 4 Master, please wait. A cultivator surrounded him and said respectfully, I am Heir Ruifeng. Our Rainflower Nation respects you very much. May I invite you to be our guest? Then he flicked his finger. A person in a black robe beside him lifted the black robe and revealed a beautiful face. Whether it was her figure or appearance, she was absolutely top-notch. She looked at him with her charming and enchanting eyes. Her graceful body pressed close to him. However, before she could do so, she saw Yi Tianyan's extremely cold gaze. She was so frightened that she took a few steps back and almost fell to the ground. Infinite fear surged in her heart. She felt that if she continued to do this, she might die in the hands of Yi Tianyan. Just say what you want. I don't like to drag things out. Yi Tianyan looked coldly at the cultivators who surrounded him. This. Heir Ruifeng glared at the woman beside him. Then he rubbed his hands and said embarrassedly, I am really sorry. We didn't mean to offend you. Our Rainflower Nation would like to invite Level 4 Master to be our guest. Maybe we can talk about cooperation. Is that okay? Not interested. Yi Tianyan threw out this sentence and walked forward. He wasn't interested in cooperation at all. If he was, he would have cooperated with them long ago. Why would he fight alone? It was very simple that he didn't want to cooperate. There were too many problems here. If he joined, he would definitely be mixed into the disputes. He never liked such things, so he didn't want to join. Moreover, he didn't need to do this. He could climb up level by level. Why did he need to do this? The key was that they were too chaotic. The cooperation with the ancient Ming Holy Nation was the real key. If the ancient Ming Holy Nation regained control of this place, they would all have to get out. All the factions would be nothing. 4th level Master, don't be anxious. Heir Ruifeng immediately panicked and hurriedly ran over to persuade him. We know that you're wholeheartedly focused on challenging the floor master, but the 5th floor master this time is quite powerful. If you're not prepared, you'll easily be at a disadvantage. Yi Tianyan stopped and looked at him. What kind of help can you provide? Heir Ruifeng's eyes lit up, and he hurriedly said, if we can cooperate, we'll definitely give top-notch medicinal pills, as well as top-notch cultivation places on the 5th level. Do you think I lack these things? Yi Tianyan looked at him indifferently. 4th floor master, we are sincerely cooperating with you. I know that you are the 4th floor master and your cultivation is not low, but in terms of medicinal pills, we definitely have good ones. For example, we have 6th grade medicinal pills. Other than the grade 6 pills, there are also some special cultivation areas that even the 4th floor master wouldn't be able to enter. This special cultivation area can even sense special powers. If you comprehend it, there's a possibility of obtaining the martial arts left behind by Lord Divine King. In order to rope an Yi Tianyan, this Heir Ruifeng could be said to have exhausted all his means, continuously enticing him. Previously, the honey trap couldn't be used, so he switched to providing benefits. If it were anyone else, they would definitely be moved, especially the cultivation area at the back. Heir Ruifeng's words weren't a lie. There were some places that most people couldn't enter. For example, one needed to win 100 or 200 matches in a row to be able to enter a special training ground. The training environment was much better than the outside world. This was a special privilege that the ancient underworld godly king specially left behind in order to nurture genius disciples. If one had the corresponding capabilities, they could obtain even more benefits. When Ruifeng said these words, he was waiting for Yi Tianyan to accept his benefits. He didn't believe that Yi Tianyan wouldn't be moved. If it were the majority of people, they would be moved. Not only were there medicinal pills, but there was also a special cultivation area. Who wouldn't be moved? Not interested. Yi Tianyan simply threw out a sentence and continued walking forward. What martial arts of the godly king? What meaning did it have to him? He was the descendant of the king of the heavens, the successor of the heaven-creating divine king. What kind of martial arts did he need? Ruifeng was immediately dumbfounded. He had thrown out all the benefits, but who knew that the other party wouldn't listen at all? I wonder what exactly you need, fourth floor master. As long as we can cooperate, everything can be discussed. Ruifeng said. I want to become the tower master. Can you give it to me? As long as you can make me the tower master, I will immediately cooperate with you, Yi Tianyan teased. After hearing this, Ruifeng wanted to slap him. If he could become the tower master, would he still need to be long-winded with Yi Tianyan? They would have long dominated this place. This is too difficult. Can you change it to a simple one? As long as we cooperate well, it will be fine. Ruifeng still braced himself and asked. I didn't expect that in order to obtain benefits, you would even betray your own race and choose to be the dogs of the evil spirit race. Yi Tianyan looked at him coldly. Well, what? Fourth floor master, what do you mean? I have no idea what you are talking about. We are just cooperating very simply. We just want you to join us and strengthen our forces. A trace of panic flashed past Ruifeng's eyes, but he quickly reacted. His expression was still as calm as ever. Yi Tianyan's eyes flashed, and Ruifeng's body stiffened. Soon after, his eyes lost focus. Tell me the general situation. Yi Tianyan brought him to the side and arrived at a remote area. Soon after, Ruifeng explained the situation in full detail. The general content was very simple. The sixth floor master, Song Yuheng, had asked them to rope in Yi Tianyan. Then he brought him to the special cultivation area and gave him some pills. In reality, there was a strong poison in them. As for the special cultivation area, it was indeed a real area, but it was especially dangerous. If they wanted to obtain benefits, they would need to go through a very dangerous test. The problem was that the pills contained a strong poison. After consuming them, it would definitely be difficult to pass. At that time, there was a possibility that he would die inside. Their goal was that simple. Who knew that Yi Tianyan would not take the bait at all? Regardless of whether it was the beauty trap or the temptation of martial arts, it was useless. You want to kill me with just this little trick? Who came up with this plot? It's not interesting at all. Yi Tianyan felt that something was wrong from the start. Even if they wanted to rope him in, they would have to look at the person. He had provoked the evil spirit race, and most people could not wait to avoid him. Why would they want to rope him in? Chapter 8:10. This little trick is really meaningless. Yi Zichen sighed. Yi Tianyan shook his head and pretended to follow Ruifeng. Ruifeng really seemed to be leading him forward. It looked like he had taken the bait. However, Ruifeng did not bring him to the special training grounds. Instead, he brought him to a restaurant on the side and ordered a jug of top-notch fine wine and some demon meat. He slowly ate it on the side. There were still restaurants and other places here. The situation here was no different from the outside world. Every cultivator had their own needs, and they could not do without fine wine and delicacies. Even if they did not need to eat, they still needed to have a good appetite occasionally. Yi Tianyan did not need it now, but he wanted to waste time here. Ruifeng poured wine at the side, completely playing the role of an attendant. Yi Tianyan drank and ate here. After staying for a day, someone finally could not wait and came over. He first bowed respectfully to Yi Tianyan, then brought Ruifeng out. Yi Tianyan controlled Air Ruifeng to follow them out. When they came to a corner, the person said agitatedly, "What are you doing? Didn't you say you would bring people there according to the plan? How long has it been? You still haven't brought people over. If you exceed the time, we will break the contract. Can't you see that I am working hard?" He is not willing to leave and only wants to drink here. "What can I do?" Air Ruifeng replied. This did not seem to make any difference. Who would have thought that this was said under Yi Tianyan's control? Damn it, we can't force it. If we continue to delay, Lord Song will blame us. The person frowned and said, "No matter what method you use, hurry up and bring people over. Do you understand?" Understood, understood. Air Ruifeng nodded repeatedly, then turned around and returned to Yi Tianyan's side. The person who came to receive them looked at Air Ruifeng's back with a resentful gaze, then quickly left. After Air Ruifeng returned to Yi Tianyan's side, he continued to pour wine. Nothing changed. Those who were supposed to pour wine continued to pour wine, standing beside Yi Tianyan. "You want to avoid the duel by luring me into a predicament? Is the evil spirit race that cowardly?" Yi Tianyan shook his head, but he could roughly guess what the problem was. It was impossible for them not to know about the destruction of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom, so it was normal for them to not be afraid. Unless they replaced a super expert, that was possible. However, since Yi Tianyan had already issued the challenge, it was impossible for them to replace him. If Su Zhongming died along the way, Yi Tianyan would immediately take over, which would be equivalent to his victory. Another day passed quickly. This time, Yi Tianyan and Air Ruifeng were strolling around the 5th floor, enjoying the beautiful scenery. How was this cultivation? It was completely a sightseeing tour. Needless to say, the environment here was not bad. The ancient underworld deity king had specially created such a magical place. Actually, Yi Tianyan could see that this was not created by the ancient underworld deity king. Instead, he had forcibly moved the land outside in here, then formed a landscape here. There were also many spirit herbs and monsters here, so it was impossible for the ancient underworld deity king to create life here. Even if they were shockingly powerful, they could not create life. However, the power to move land was something that even Yi Tianyan could do. He could easily move a large piece of land over, but he had to spend some spiritual power. This time, that person came to him again and dragged Air Ruifeng to the side, asking him to hurry up so that Yi Tianyan could go to the cultivation area. Air Ruifeng hurriedly nodded and said that Yi Tianyan would go there after he was done here. After sending those people away, he continued to stroll around with Yi Tianyan. At first, he thought that Air Ruifeng could really bring Yi Tianyan to the cultivation area, but the next day, he found out that Yi Tianyan was fishing on the side. He was so leisurely and elegant that it was like he was here on vacation, not to challenge the floor master. What's going on? The first day he went to the restaurant, the second day, he went sightseeing, and the third day he told me to go fishing. There are not many days left until the week. Do you know that? In the floor master's palace, Su Zhongming kept scolding the people of Rainflower Nation, making them bleed. He was also very depressed. We are working hard. That kid just wants to walk around more, so he is going. There is no sign that he is interested. The people of Rainflower Nation wiped their cold sweat. They were also very depressed. Su Zhongming shouted, "Last day, if you still can't make that kid go to the special cultivation room tomorrow, you are dead." Understood. If you understand, then get out of here. Su Zhongming shouted, scaring them into running away. After he left, he wiped his cold sweat. It's over. If this continues, I will definitely be challenged. What should I do then? His heart trembled. The opponent was someone who destroyed Nether Heaven God Nation. Just thinking about it made him feel scared. He believed that he would definitely be crushed. Although he could escape, if he escaped from Yi Tianyan, what about their old ancestor? If he retreated without a fight, he would definitely be killed. After the man went out, he looked for Air Ruifeng again, and gave him an ultimatum. He told Air Ruifeng to take Yi Tianyan to the special cultivation place. If he didn't take Yi Tianyan there, Rainflower Nation would be doomed. Air Ruifeng quickly agreed, and said that he would bring people there tomorrow. The next day, of course, there was no change. They didn't go sightseeing, but strolled around the city to see what was being sold. This situation was driving them crazy. Before the end of the day, the people from Rainflower Nation had already rushed over. 4th level master, didn't you say that you wanted to go to the cultivation area? Why haven't you gone? If you don't go now, the time will be over. This can't be delayed, that person said hurriedly. Oh, anyway, a few more days won't matter. After I finish the challenge, I will go to the cultivation area. Tianyan knew what they were anxious about. The other party was stunned. Didn't this mean that they couldn't complete the mission? This can't be. If we miss it, then the cultivation area won't be able to open. In order to achieve his goal, the other party even lied. Then forget it. We can only go next time. After I become the 5th level master, won't it be more beneficial for you to rope me in? Tianyan smiled indifferently. He just wanted to play a trick on these traitors. They were willing to become the evil spirit race's dogs, but were unwilling to help their own people. This kind of people deserve to die. Chapter 8:11. Tianyan's words made them dumbfounded, and the key is that it's really reasonable. If Tianyan became the 5th level master, he would be more valuable and they would be happier. The problem was, did they really think that way? Of course not. If they really thought that way, then they were definitely finished. If they really wanted to establish a relationship with him, this would be the best choice. Now that they wanted to kill Tianyan, they definitely couldn't let him succeed in the challenge. Most importantly, Tianyan's words were impeccable. They didn't know what to say. Aye. They wanted to cry but had no tears, especially Ruifeng. He wanted to vomit blood, but he was controlled. He couldn't say anything even if he wanted to. Tianyan already knew the cause and effect. How could he still follow? Ruifeng wanted to shout. Tianyan already knows. What are you guys talking about? If there are no more questions, you guys can go back. After the challenge, I will find you guys to go to the special training area. Tianyan waved his hand, indicating that they could leave. They wanted to vomit blood. If they could kidnap Tianyan, they would have done it long ago. The problem was that they couldn't do that. They couldn't beat Tianyan. This won't take up much of your time. You just need to go for a while. Really? They were about to kneel down. If they didn't go, their rainflower country would be finished. At this moment, Su Zhongming walked over. He glared at them and said, I asked you guys to do something, but you can't even do it properly. A bunch of trash, you can scram now. They were startled. They quickly thanked him and said, Thank you, Lord Su. Thank you, Lord Su. After saying that, they turned around and wanted to leave. Unexpectedly, a cold voice came from the side. Did I say you guys can leave? As soon as he finished speaking, a protective shield enveloped them in an instant. Fourth level master. What do you mean by this? They looked at the barrier enveloping them. It meant that they were being judged. A bunch of dogs. Do you really think I don't know? You have to pay the price for your actions. Tianyan's eyes are cold. He didn't wait for them to react, he kicked them. With a dong sound, the two men's bodies caved in, and they were kicked to death just like that. There seemed to be no problem on the outside, but their internal organs had long been destroyed, and they couldn't be more dead. Their brand quickly rushed over, leaving many shallow marks on his arm. He would never let traitors off, especially those who planned to attack him. He would never let them live. How dare you call us trash? Su Zhongming angrily said. Don't think that I don't dare to fight you, you trash human, there are trash everywhere. Is that so? Since I'm trash, then all of you are worse than trash. If you have the ability, don't just talk. Come and fight me, let's see who is the real trash. Tianyan looked at him with a burning gaze. Su Zhongming was speechless, and cold sweat immediately broke out. How would he dare to really challenge Tianyan? At that time, he wouldn't even know how he died. This friend, his temper is a little big. Let's talk nicely. At this time, a tall and handsome cultivator walked over. He was none other than Song Yuheng, the mastermind behind the scenes who designed this scheme. But this scheme was a little too low-end, and it was easily seen through by Yi Tianyan. If it were some other greedy people, they would definitely take the bait. Clearly, these were seriously unable to entice him. 6th level master? Yi Tianyan sized him up and said with a faint smile, "Why? You want to stand up for him to judge me? Feel free to come. I welcome you very much." A low-level master had no way to judge a high-level master. Otherwise, he would have long slashed with his sword. Why would there be so many rules? How is that possible? Song Yuheng smiled amiably and said, "We had some misunderstandings previously. I am here to talk about a deal. Regardless of whether it is for you or for us, it will be beneficial." "Is that so? Let's hear it," Yi Tianyan said with narrowed eyes. "Then let's borrow a place to discuss? The matter we are talking about is rather important. We have to sit down and discuss it properly. I know you are a little biased against us, but what matter can't we discuss properly?" Song Yuheng inquired. "How important is it? Can't we talk about it here?" Yi Tianyan said indifferently. "It's not easy to talk about it here. Are you afraid that we will plot against you?" Song Yuheng looked at him and said with a smile, "I'm afraid that you will plot against me? It's indeed not easy to talk about anything here. Bring me over," Yi Tianyan said. "All right, this way please." Song Yuheng extended his hand and gestured with extreme politeness. Yi Tianyan nodded and followed him to the front. When Yi Tianyan's back was facing the two of them, a sinister look flashed past their eyes, but there were more smiles of success. This brat fell for it so easily. Isn't it a little too easy? Su Zhongming felt that it was a little scary. This brat has always been extremely arrogant. To have this kind of cultivation at such a young age, he must be extraordinarily arrogant. So what if he sees through our scheme? At that time, it won't be that simple. Song Yuheng and the others transmitted their voices. Yi Tianyan couldn't hear what they were saying. He just followed them and walked into the floor master's palace. When he just stepped into the palace, the place was instantly enveloped by layers of thick barriers. Layer after layer enveloped over. At this moment, he discovered that he was enveloped by 5 barriers. This meant that he was receiving the trial of 5 people. The trial didn't have a specific number of people. As long as their rank was higher than his, they could undergo the trial. This meant that it could be a one-on-one fight or a group fight. In the blink of an eye, the 5 people locked on to his escape range. Almost at the same time, 4 arms emerged from their backs, adding up to a total of 6 arms. The 6-armed evil spirit race could be said to have erupted their power to the extreme. It was evident how cautious they were. A group attack? Yi Tianyan glanced around and detailed information immediately appeared in front of him. In addition to Song Yuheng and Su Zhongming, there were 3 other people with equally amazing cultivation. They were all at the 6th or 7th layer of the Saint King stage. Yi Tianyan had to admit that their arms were really amazing. Since ordinary plots couldn't work against him, they could only use force. "Brat, I didn't expect you to be so stupid. You took the bait so easily. As expected of Brother Tsang, you are arrogant and think that you are absolutely invincible. You are not afraid of any conspiracy. Now I really believe it. I have seen stupid people, but I have never seen such a stupid person." Su Zhongming laughed and said, "Let's see if you can survive this time. You should know that this is our territory." Boom. The flame marks on the hands of the 5 people erupted one after another. Among them, the other 3 people actually had 7 flame marks on their hands. They were not floor masters, but deacon-level existences. The ancient Ming Divine Pagoda can allow several deacons to exist, so they can all have the power of trial. You are right. I just feel that I am absolutely invincible. Is there a problem? Yi Tianyan glanced around disdainfully. He liked this kind of simple and crude way of doing things. If a one-on-one fight couldn't work, he could allow them to gang up on him. No matter how many people came, he would kill them all. This way, he wouldn't have to worry about wasting his experience cards. Chapter 8:12. Yi Tianyan's arrogance made them laugh. They had seen arrogant people before, but they had never seen someone so arrogant. Arrogance, and self-righteousness. These are the reasons for your death. Song Yuheng looked at him and sneered. You destroyed the heavenly netherworld divine nation. But that was because you borrowed the power of the Phoenix clan's old ancestor. Remember, that was someone else's power, not yours. Tianyan was startled. Wasn't there some loophole in the information collected by the other party? But thinking about it carefully, it was indeed the Phoenix clan who destroyed the heavenly netherworld divine nation. And he had contributed. But the key point was that if he hadn't killed the imperial preceptor and the heavenly netherworld holy king, the Phoenix clan would have been in great danger. As the five of them spoke, they moved closer. The imprints in the hands of the 5 floor masters quickly erupted with power. Then they linked up in the air, forming a thick net of heavenly flames. This was no longer a simple netherworld flame, but a preliminary evolution of the heavenly flame. A terrifying cold air pervaded the main hall, constantly being released in all directions. A thick layer of ice quickly formed inside the palace, and even the door outside was blocked. The situation here was immediately known to the cultivators outside, and when they wanted to come in and see, they were forced to retreat by the cold chi, not daring to approach even half a step. Obviously, there was a protective shield protecting them, but the cold chi still drifted out from inside, giving them a feeling of death. What the hell is going on? The judgment suddenly came. I remember that Senior Su shouldn't have such an aura. That's right, this power is a bit too strong. Did Senior Su make a breakthrough again? Impossible. Even if he made a breakthrough, it's impossible for him to be so strong. It's simply terrifying. One by one, they wanted to go in and see what was going on, but they were blocked outside by the protective shield. The shield released by the 5 floor masters was enough to cover the entire palace. Wanting to go in was simply impossible. They could only be blocked outside. Inside, the energy of the 5 floor masters intertwined, forming an airtight light net, which meant that no matter where Tianyan tried to escape, he would be trapped inside. This was a very high treatment for him. 5 Saint King stage powerhouses had come out to help him. It was a sign that they thought highly of him. This could be considered as putting Tianyan on the list of dangerous targets. He had to be killed, and he had to be very cautious. You're right. I'm arrogant, so what if I'm invincible? There are only 5 of you. Aren't you looking down on me? Tianyan looked at them. Their powers were all fused together. Coupled with their story master's authority, their battle prowess skyrocketed. They were much stronger than if they fought alone. None of them were at the peak of the Saint King stage, but now that the strength of the 5 of them was combined, their combined strength was comparable to that of a peak Saint King stage master. This was the case where everyone had their own power, rather than the power of a peak Saint King stage cultivator. Arrogant. Su Zhongming sneered and said, "The forces we sent out are powerful, but they were still destroyed by you. But don't forget, this is our territory. I will devour you bit by bit. Let's see if you can still be arrogant then." Song Yuheng stretched out his hand to stop Su Zhongming, and motioned him not to speak. Instead, he looked at him with an oppressive aura and said, "We will now give you 2 choices. The first choice is to join us. As long as you sign a slave contract, we will not treat you unfairly. After all, your strength is not bad. We don't want a genius like you to die like this. Although we are not very happy with each other, when we unify the 3 realms, there will be a place for you. We will not treat anyone who is loyal to us unfairly. We will give you a reasonable position. We will not burn the bridge after crossing the river. The second choice is as Su Zhongming said. You will die and be devoured by us bit by bit. Which one do you choose?" Song Yuheng looked at Tianyan coldly. He didn't look like he was trying to negotiate. He just wanted to bully Tianyan with a tough attitude. This kind of attitude was not surprising. Originally, they had the best conditions and felt that they were in control of the situation. How could they lower themselves to negotiate? "If I sign a slave contract, will I become your dog for the rest of my life?" Tianyan sneered. How could he not know what they were thinking? It was nothing more than thinking that he was strong and a human. If he became their man, it would be easy for him to blend into the enemy's ranks and help them do many things. If he agreed, there was no doubt that he would become their dog like those people before. In any case, this is the choice we are giving you. Whether you are willing or not, it is your own choice. Song Yuheng said indifferently. I will give you 3 seconds to consider. If you exceed the time limit, we will immediately launch an attack. Don't think that you can break our attack. With 5 Saint King stage experts working together, coupled with the absolute power of the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda, you will find how stupid your struggle is. They had absolute confidence. It was not because they were very confident in their own strength, but because they were full of confidence in the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda. Under the extreme power of the ancient Ming Divine Pagoda, even if they faced a peak Saint King stage expert, they would have the strength to fight. This was their trump card and the source of their confidence. 1. Song Yuheng immediately began to count. Su Zhongming and the others looked at him with a teasing expression. Many cultivators were crushed by them in this way. They either submitted or died. 2. Song Yuheng said in a deep voice. Yi Tianyan showed a bright smile, which made Song Yuheng and the others stunned. Why was he smiling so happily at this time? Did he make a decision? I have decided, and that is the third choice. All of you must die. While they were stunned, Yi Tianyan had already disappeared. In an instant, he appeared next to the strongest evil spirit race expert. The evil spirit divine sword immediately appeared in his hand. Combined with the terrifying ancient desolate set, he fiercely slashed down. Voila! Even if the dense heavenly Yin fire condensed into a light net to help him resist the attack, this terrifying attack still tore the space apart, and ruthlessly cut the evil spirit race expert into 2. At the same time, the terrifying immortal fire devoured the evil spirit race expert. In the blink of an eye, the evil spirit race expert turned into a pile of sand and fell to the ground. Ding successfully killed Mills. Reward, 27. 6 billion EXP, 430,000 crazy point, 20,000 SPs. Chapter 813. In the blink of an eye, an evil spirit race ranker was killed. After the evil spirit race ranker died, the formation immediately had a large impact. The originally dense net of light immediately shrunk by almost half, and it seemed that the effect was much weaker. Everyone was horrified. They couldn't even see how Yi Tianyan moved, but he already killed one of them. This speed is beyond the range of their perception, which made them shocked. Yi Tianyan didn't run to the evil spirit race's expert, so they won't be able to see him using teleportation. The next moment, Yi Tianyan's figure quickly moved, and the desolate ancient set on his body emitted a faint yellow light. Yi Tianyan's speed was immediately increased by 12 times, and with the speed of the evil spirit set and phoenix bloodline, they could only see an afterimage. They are Saint King stage powerhouses, but they can't even see Yi Tianyan clearly. Yi Tianyan's real cultivation is only at 7th layer Saint King stage. Compared to them, his cultivation is either a little higher or a little lower. In this state, logically speaking, he should still be able to see very clearly. But with the heaven-defying equipment, they couldn't see Yi Tianyan's figure no matter how hard they tried. A black flame flashed, and the next moment, another evil spirit race's expert was cut in half, and soon it was eroded by the immortal fire and the desolate ancient set's effect. In a blink of an eye, it turned into a pile of black desert. Even if it turned into a pile of black desert, it will still burn. Ding. Successfully killed Dimitri. Reward, 27 billion EXP, 430,000 crazy point, 20,000 SPs. Reward, evil spirit divine sword, evil spirit blood, evil spirit soul, 50 times EXP card. Being able to get so much EXP from killing this monster really makes Yi Tianyan exclaim. This is the feeling he needs. It's a pity that there are too few Saint King stage powerhouses. If there were more, he could kill all of them in one go. 50 times EXP card. Very good use. Ding. Using 50 times EXP card, the total EXP multiplier is 262 times. First come first serve, without the slightest hesitation. The price of the 50 times experience card was equivalent to 4 or 5 million yuan in the shop. Otherwise he would have bought it long ago. Now that he had obtained this thing, it was really a pleasant surprise. It was much more exciting than any divine artifact. Then he once again rushed towards the next evil spirit race ranker. Now that there were 2 less rankers, their combined attacks quickly sank to the bottom, and were much weaker than before. Quick, retreat quickly. Song Yuheng was almost scared out of his wits. His previous arrogance was nowhere to be seen. He turned around and fled out of the barrier. He didn't continue to forcefully obstruct Yi Tianyan. From what they saw, they immediately knew that they had made a mistake. Yi Tianyan was truly invincible. In the face of absolute power, all schemes and plots were useless. It was a pity that everything was too slow. With a flash of Yi Tianyan's sword light, another evil spirit race ranker with an even stronger cultivation also turned into a pile of desert dust. Bing. Successfully killed Mihui. Reward, 31. 5 billion EXP, 410,000 crazy point, 13,000 SPS. Reward, evil spirit blood, evil spirit soul, evil spirit bone, evil spirit armor. Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Tianyan for successfully breaking through to 8th layer Saint King stage. Yi Tianyan leveled up easily. The astronomical amount of EXP he lost was abruptly filled up, allowing him to level up successfully. Only at this time, leveling up is not particularly difficult. Usually when there is no strong opponent, it's really difficult to level up. If there is no EXP card, it's also a tragedy. He needs to kill dozens of Saint King stage rankers to barely level up. But this is fast. If there is a large number of people, he can break through in a few dozen. It's much faster than cultivating slowly. But for him, it's still too slow, so he has to use EXP card to increase his EXP. Even with the usual crazy mode, more than 3 billion experience points were really not enough. If it was before, they would definitely be shocked. But now it can only be regarded as an ordinary existence. After reaching 8th layer Saint King stage, Yi Tianyan's cultivation can almost be said to crush them. Yi Tianyan's figure flashed, and with a speed dozens of times faster than them, he easily intercepted Su Zhangming and Song Yuheng and kicked them. Bang bang, both of them were kicked away, and a large part of their chests caved in, causing them to vomit blood. A simple kick made them vomit blood. What floor lord power, what evil spirit race bloodline power, in front of Yi Tianyan, it's a pile of garbage. Didn't you say that you are very powerful? Now get up and fight me. Yi Tianyan slowly walked over and looked at them coldly. Both of them were horrified, and they didn't know what to say. They have overestimated Yi Tianyan's cultivation, thinking that his cultivation should be above 8th layer Saint King stage, which is an overestimation. After all, when Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation was destroyed, the Phoenix race must have contributed the most. Now it seems that they were wrong, and it was a big mistake. The one who suppressed Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation was not the Phoenix race, but the Divine Emissary in front of them. I didn't expect that we were wrong, and completely wrong. But don't be complacent. Even if your cultivation is strong and your speed is fast, the Three Realms is still the world of our evil spirit race. Above the ancient underworld divine pagoda, what awaits you is death, and you will become our food. Their eyes were filled with fear and shock, but they didn't choose to beg for mercy. This was their backbone. They would rather die than surrender. Is that so? Then I am looking forward to fighting with your old ancestor. I want to see how much strength you have yet to display. Yi Tianyan walked over step by step. When he was about to walk in front of the two of them, suddenly, a terrifying power was released from their bodies, and they were ready to self-destruct. They didn't want to die in the hands of Yi Tianyan, so they chose to self-destruct to protect their last dignity. Unfortunately, the speed of their self-destruction was too slow, and Yi Tianyan's sword light was even faster than their self-destruction, which cut through the sky and their bodies. Their bodies stiffened, and they felt that the spiritual power in their bodies was instantly cut, accompanied by a terrible pain that rushed to their souls, burning them. No. Chapter 814. Ing. Successfully killed Missoula. Reward, 26. 2 billion EXP 400. 000 crazy point, 18,000 SPs. Obtained evil spirit's soul, evil spirit's blood, and evil spirit's bone. Ding. Successfully killed Dimitri. Reward, 27. 5 billion EXP, 460,000 crazy point, 21,000 SPs. Obtained evil spirit's soul, evil spirit's blood, and evil spirit's bone, 50 times EXP card. After killing them, the names that appeared were completely different from how they were addressed. It was obvious that this was how they were addressed internally. On the outside, they were no different from ordinary cultivators. Of course, the names had nothing to do with him. Anyway, it was a pile of EXP for him. He couldn't let them self-destruct. Logically speaking, they should have given him EXP, but just in case, he chose to kill them quickly. The appraisal I had always been observing their situation. Every move was in his eyes. Therefore, if they wanted to self-detonate, he would be able to stop them immediately. It was precisely because it was within his control that he didn't rush to kill them. He wanted to get some information from them, but he didn't expect them to be so stubborn, and would rather die than surrender. A lot of EXP, almost half of it has been filled. I'm not far from the 9th layer of Saint King stage. Tianyan was quite excited. This was the real explosive EXP. It was worth it to come here. After getting so much EXP, he finally had some motivation. If he continues like this, breaking through to the God King stage wouldn't be difficult at all. From the beginning, he knew that it wouldn't be difficult for him to break through to the God King stage. For him, it was as simple as killing. Immediately, piles of blue flames quickly floated from their corpses and drilled into his arm. Originally there were 5 flame brands, but now they began to fill up his arm one by one. First, the 6th flame appeared, then the 7th. Even the deacon's brand appeared on his arm, indicating that he had become a deacon of the 7th layer. Originally, he wanted to climb up step by step, but who knew that these idiots greatly underestimated his cultivation. The 5 of them teamed up to deal with him. This was indeed very cautious. It's a pity that this cautiousness is still too ordinary. At least a dozen Saint King stage experts teamed up to suppress him at the same time. Now they had only sent 5 people to suppress him. They were looking down on him too much. Looks like they'll be much more cautious from now on. I wonder what tricks they'll play? Tianyan looked at the brand in his hand. It jumped to the 7th level, skipping the 6th. To him, it saved a lot of time and made things much simpler. The problem was that they would definitely be on guard in the future. The 5 of them attacking him together would definitely be known by the evil spirit race above. At that time, they would definitely be more cautious and re-evaluate his strength. No matter what schemes they have, I'll just destroy them with a single punch. Tianyan sneered and lifted his foot to walk outside. At this time, the barrier has disappeared, and the cultivators outside are rushing in. Seeing that there was no one here except for Tianyan, he walked over. Look at his arm. One of them had sharp eyes and immediately saw the number of fire marks on Tianyan's arm. 7 flame marks, and he is also an administrator. Did he challenge an administrator just now? Everyone gasped. It had been 5 flame marks before, but in the blink of an eye, it had become 7 flame marks. Wasn't this speed a little too terrifying? That's true. 7 flame brands. How long has it been since he came here? Yet he has already reached 7 flame brands. Isn't this too fast? Is he really that strong? So many people have challenged the floor master before, but they all ended up in failure or died without a trace. Not only did he succeed, but he also became an administrator. If he continues to take a step forward, won't he become an elder? They couldn't believe the scene in front of them. Something that was impossible in the past had not only happened now, but it was also happening right in front of them. Elders were indeed the peak existences here. There were no pagoda masters. No one knew why they couldn't become pagoda masters. There were so many elders, but no one could become pagoda masters. Tianyan naturally knew this. Their bloodlines weren't pure enough, so they would never be able to become pagoda masters. However, they wouldn't give up. They kept hunting the descendants of the ancient underworld godly kings and devouring them, hoping that one day, they would truly become pagoda masters and control the ancient underworld divine pagoda. Tianyan didn't care about them. He lifted his feet and walked out. The group of people gave way to Tianyan. Their eyes were full of admiration, but most of them were filled with complicated expressions. They didn't know what to say. They watched as Tianyan climbed to a higher floor, and immediately after, a deafening cheer broke out from below. The position of the floor lord that had been locked for a long time was now open to everyone. They were definitely fighting to be the first. This was the position of floor master of the 5th floor. After Tianyan became an administrator, the floor master of the 5th and 4th floor were immediately vacated. Now the moment of competition was immediately entered. Of course it was intense. Soon Tianyan successfully reached the 7th floor. He didn't even look at the 6th floor. He directly went to the 7th floor. When he arrived at the 7th floor, a cold voice sounded in front of him. Is he the human who killed our 3 deacons? Yes, he killed 3 deacons and 2 floor masters. However, the few of them are all trash. They can't even deal with a single human. There's not much use for them to stay alive. The people in front of them were talking unscrupulously. Tianyan looked up and found that the people in front of him were the experts of the evil spirit race. However, they weren't deacons but the evil spirit race that was active here. They didn't hide anything. Their 6 arms were exposed, but they had the bloodline of the ancient underworld godly king's descendants in their bodies. It didn't matter if they were exposed or not. Human boy, you're really courageous. You killed our people, and you still dare to come up. The cultivation of the evil spirit race's experts varied. The lowest cultivation was above the Spirit King stage, and the highest cultivation was at the 2nd or 3rd layer of the Saint King stage. Tianyan didn't bother to pay attention to them. After successfully reaching the 7th floor, what he saw was no longer the previous huge city, but a bloody hell. There were indeed luxurious houses all around, but there was a thick smell of blood that enveloped the entire area and even the sky. Even the sky was dark red, and the disgusting smell of blood permeated this area. Suddenly, a light flashed, and a figure fell from the sky and appeared in a pile of corpses on the side. Tianyan's pupil shrank. There was a mountain of corpses in the distance, and he didn't know how many cultivators had died. He didn't expect that those dead cultivators would be teleported here. Chapter 8:15. The mountain in the distance was very conspicuous, but it wasn't a mountain made of mud, but a mountain of corpses. Some were fresh, some were not, but the environment here was extremely cold, so the corpses didn't rot. There were a lot of evil spirit races people next to the corpses. They picked up a lot of corpses and carried them back as food. After devouring the corpses, they began to increase their strength. Looking around, Tianyan's appraisal eye was fully activated, covering a large area. There were no other cultivators in this area. Except for the evil spirit race, there were no other races. Tianyan was an exception. He was the only one here. He guessed that no one could come up here. Or if they came up here, they would be killed and become their food. They climbed up step by step, thinking that they could become elders or deacons, so they could get more benefits. Who knew that what awaited them was death, or becoming the evil spirit race's food? The losers of the other levels would be transported here and become their food. There were high and low cultivation levels, but the highest cultivation level didn't exceed Spirit King stage. At most, it was Void Spirit stage. So where were the Spirit King stage corpses? Tianyan guessed that they were in the 8th floor. The evil spirit race's old ancestors in the 8th floor devoured the corpses of Spirit King stage corpses, which made their cultivation progress by leaps and bounds. In the 7th floor, there were more than a dozen Saint King stage experts, which was a terrifying number. He dared to say that in the ghost world, or even in the heaven world, there was no force that could have so many Saint King stage experts at the same time. But here, there were many Saint King stage experts, and those who were above Spirit King stage were as numerous as dogs. Tianyan casually probed, and there were more than 50 of them. Some were scattered in other areas, so he couldn't count them for the time being. This was not just the residence of the evil spirit race, it was simply a paradise for them. No wonder they were rarely seen outside. It turned out that they were cultivating crazily here, using the spiritual power here, and the environment here to constantly devour the corpses of geniuses and high cultivation experts. After devouring the corpses, they continued to strengthen themselves. Once they rushed out, they could really cause a devastating blow. Logically speaking, rushing out should be the best choice. Why was he trapped here with no way out? Are they not allowed to go out at will? Tianyan immediately thought of this. However, The scene in front of him was indeed frightening. This place was like a paradise. So many cultivators risked their lives to get here, but in the end, they became their food. Yi Tianyan threw out a crystal, which instantly enveloped the area and imprinted the situation in the crystal. This was a recording crystal. It could record the situation in the surroundings as a form of evidence. He believed that as long as this mirror image was thrown out, the entire ancient underworld divine pagoda would immediately descend into chaos and be completely shocked by the situation here. Kid, you even recorded it. Do you think you can still leave this place? Yi Tianyan was surrounded by many evil spirit race rankers. They were not deacons, so they did not have the authority to judge. However, even deacons couldn't easily put him on trial. Existences of the same level couldn't do so. If he wanted to be judged, only those of a higher level could be considered to be judged. Yi Tianyan looked at them coldly and sneered. Do you think you can stop me? Due to the restrictions of the rules, they could not attack him. Once they attacked, they would be punished immediately. Therefore, Yi Tianyan was not afraid of them at all. If someone came to challenge him, he would welcome it. He would kill as many as they came. Kid, you are really arrogant. Do you think that you are invincible here because you killed 5 of us? That's right. You are just a trash human. You were so arrogant before and thought that you could defeat us. In the end, you were still eaten by us. Hehe, that's right. The flesh of such people is the most delicious. When they struggle, the taste is incomparably delicious. One by one they laugh crazily. Yi Tianyan's achievements were nothing to them. Their eyes were even filled with contempt. Yi Tianyan didn't know where they got their courage from. How could they be so confident that they could win? Get out of the way. At this time, a shout came from the front, causing the evil spirit race people who surrounded him to move away and make way for him. Yi Tianyan looked up and saw 5 deacon-level existences in front of him, walking towards him step by step. When he thought that they were going to besiege him, the 5 of them stood to the side, forming a path for him to pass through. They were the deacons of the 7th floor. Each of their cultivation was extremely amazing. The strongest one was actually at the peak of the Saint King stage. Those who had reached this level of cultivation were only at the deacon level, not the elder level. Didn't this mean soon the answer came? A huge body appeared in front of him. It had 8 arms on its back. This was the evil spirit race with the most arms he had seen so far. It had a total of 8 arms, each of which was extremely thick, comparable to the stone pillars in the palace. Even its body was more than 30 meters tall. It was like a huge giant. With every step it took, the ground would be flattened, and even the earth would shake. This was the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Ordinary power couldn't cause any vibration, but this giant shook the ground with every step it took. The air was filled with his power. Yi Tianyan's eyes narrowed, and his heart sank. He felt a little shocked. Demon God Migo, first level of the God King stage. Each of its 8 arms has a force of 100 million jin. It can destroy heaven and earth. It has an extremely rich bloodline power of the ancient Ming God King. Its strength is far beyond that of the experts of the same level. Its martial arts are shaking heaven and earth, berserk evil spirit, and evil spirit collision. Its weakness is none, because it has the violent heavenly Yin fire, which is enough to offset the weakness. Its current state is the strength of an elder. With the help of the elder's strength, its comprehensive combat power is 51.5 billion in normal state. The crazy combat power of 51.5 billion proves that the range of the God King stage cultivation is too much. It should be known that the peak of the Saint King stage cultivation is only a little more than 20 billion, and that is the full power. That was the highest record when he fought with the heavenly netherworld Holy King. Now the record has been broken again. From the peak of the Saint King stage to the first level of the God King stage, its combat power soared to 50 billion, and that is in normal state. Chapter 8:16. Demon God Migo, a level 1 God King stage evil spirit race expert. The appearance of a God King evil spirit race expert was not surprising at all. There were so many resources here, and so many cultivators to devour, especially when they climbed up bit by bit. They worked so hard to improve their cultivation, but in the end, they would just become their food. Unless they chose to stop and leave when they reached the 5th or 6th floor. But would they leave? Of course not. The cultivation environment here was perfect, and there were so many resources here. They just wanted to keep moving forward, learn more martial arts, and get more treasures. Otherwise, they would definitely not leave. Cultivators had a great desire in this aspect. Unless they really encountered a dead end, they would not easily leave this place. But when they really reached the 7th floor, they would be sentenced to death. Although the deacons could not judge them, they could judge ordinary cultivators who were not at the level of a floor master. At that time, they would be like ripe fruits, waiting to be picked by the evil spirit race. God King Evil Spirit Race Expert. This is your trump card? Tianyan squinted at them. Demon God Migo walked over step by step, and finally stood in front of him. His huge body looked very young, unlike those evil spirit race hiding in the mortal world, who looked old and on the verge of death. Demon God Migo was very young, like an expert in the prime of his life. Tianyan knew that they were not in the prime of their life, but after breaking through to the God King Evil Spirit race, their lifespan had increased by several times. Under such circumstances, they had become young again. Young human powerhouse, it's really amazing that you were able to reach the 7th floor in such a short time. You are the strongest human expert I have ever seen to reach the 7th floor in such a short time, especially at such a young age. Demon God Mi Ge's deep voice was full of majesty, making people want to worship him. Even Tianyan could feel some pressure. The other evil spirit race people knelt down, their eyes full of fanaticism. This was their god, their leader. What? Now it's your turn to judge me. Tianyan looked him up and down, his eyes filled with fighting spirit. What he wanted to do now was to test the limits of his opponent's strength. More importantly, he wanted to gain experience and treasures. After killing him, he would definitely drop a terrifying amount of experience and a large number of treasures. Just thinking about it made him excited. Young human expert, humans do have a bit of youthful arrogance. That's not impossible. It means that you are full of sharpness, a sharp weapon. If you show off too much, you will be killed. Do you understand? Demon God Migo's tone was like a senior teaching Tianyan. He was not in a hurry to attack. The main reason was that everything was under his control. A God King stage cultivation was his greatest strength. Anyone below the Saint King stage was nothing but an ant. That's enough. Keep your disgusting words to yourself. Devouring our race, or rather, other than you, all other races are your food. Do you think you're qualified to teach me now? Tianyan sneered. You lowly human, how dare you speak to Elder Migo in such a tone? Immediately, a deacon pointed at him angrily. So what if I say it? If you want to devour our race, don't use such a disgusting tone to teach others. Pretending to be dignified will only make people feel disgusted. Don't talk nonsense. If you want to fight, then fight. What's the point of talking nonsense? Tianyan sneered. I almost forgot, you all have been pretending to be like this to survive. If you are exposed outside, you will be hostile. After pretending for a long time, you will naturally be disgusted. After saying so much, in the end he still wanted to devour them. What was the point of pretending to be serious? Impudent. Demon God Migo was furious, and he snorted coldly at Tianyan. A terrifying force descended from the sky, and it was as if the force of trillions of forces was pressing down on Tianyan, forcing him to kneel on the ground. But when this terrifying force pressed down, Tianyan did not feel it at all. He just stood there easily. It was undeniable that Demon God Migo was very powerful, but he did not feel any pressure at all. The Evil Spirits set and the Ancient Desolate set were two heaven-defying equipment. Even if he was facing a God King stage cultivator, he would not feel any fear. Especially when the opponent was only at the first level of the God King stage. If the opponent was at the third or fourth level of the God King stage, Tianyan would be a little afraid. Is this your power? Tianyan looked at him motionlessly. His clothes didn't even wrinkle a bit. The evil spirit race on the side widened their eyes. If it were them, they would have already knelt down and worshipped him. They could not even stand up. Tianyan felt like he had just been blown by a gust of wind. He only felt a few traces of coolness, and he was not hurt at all. You do have some extraordinary abilities. Demon God Migo's eyes were filled with killing intent. Do you know why I am not in a hurry to kill you? Although your strength is not bad, in this ancient underworld divine pagoda, I can use most of the power, including my own strength. Killing you is like killing an ant. You want me to stay, just like the others. You want me to sign a slave contract so that you can control me and mix with the human forces outside, right? Tianyan shook his head and said, You don't have a sense of novelty at all. Do you think that everyone will be willing to work for you? It seems that there is nothing more to say. I thought that our cooperation would be very pleasant. In that case, you will become my food. A light flashed in Demon God Migo's hand, and the next moment, a huge magic wand appeared in his hand. It was more than 30 meters long, but it was still a low-grade divine artifact. It just looked bigger. He pressed it hard on the ground, and a loud dong sound spread out. At the same time his cold voice sounded, Judgment. In an instant, a huge shield enveloped the two of them. The evil spirit race on the side was immediately repelled by the shield, and they quickly retreated until they did not touch the shield. Arrogant human, I will give you a chance to attack me. I will let you die in fear. Demon God Migo looked down at Tianyan from above. With such a huge body, he looked at the small body of Tianyan as if he was looking at an ant. He wanted to use absolute power to suppress Tianyan, and let Tianyan know how weak he was. In fear of death. Tianyan sneered. It has always been me who will let people die in fear, but no one will let me die in fear. Transform into evil spirits. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.